The battle over the Ohio Cup at stake here in Cincinnati.
Here we go.
I get up, I get down, and I'm jumping around. And the rumpus and ruckus are comfortable now. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to grow.
Here we go.
And there he is, Sonny Gray.
Let's just go right at these guys.
I need a Zach attack right now.
He was efficient. He was tremendous.
It's our showcase game. It's about 40 minutes away. It's the Indians against the Cincinnati Reds. Carlos Santana doing his part along with Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor. The rest of the lineup has struggled for the Indians. These two rotations are among the best in baseball. Cleveland starters have a 2.57 ERA, third best in the sport. The Reds have the sixth best team ERA in the pitching matchup. I mean, you just can't ask for anything better. Zach Plesac, red hot against Sonny Gray, who's 2-0, the sub-1 ERA. Now, on location for us tonight will be John Morosi calling the game with Steven Nelson, Hall of Famer John Smoltz, and he joins us now once again live on Deck Circle. And John, I got to tell you, boy, the difference a year makes in terms of how we view Sonny Gray. It looked like he was back with, his old college pitching coach a year ago, and he's figuring things out again. And now we're looking at him as a Cy Young contender.
Well, we certainly are, Greg. I think look at Sonny Gray at the moment. He is one of the very best pitchers in all of baseball. 0.71 ERA that he has entering this game, one of the very best in the National League. And he has taken some cues from those that he was around early in his career. Yes, Derek Johnson is one of them here, of course, the Reds pitching coach, but also going back to the New York Yankees. He was, at the end of his time there with the Yankees, pitching out of the bullpen. But while he was there, he learned from CC Sabathia a lot about leadership, composure, professionalism, and he talked yesterday about watching how CC went about his business, that even while Sonny Gray was struggling, he found some ways to improve while he was there with the New York Yankees. Also, of course, leaning always on his college coach there at Vanderbilt, Tim Corbin, still speaks to them a lot to this day. So he's got this support network here in Cincinnati, but he talked a lot about how he learned a lot about things from CC Sabathia there in New York as well.
Well, he's going to try to feast on a lineup the Indians have. They're just not scoring any runs. For the year, they're averaging 2.6 runs per game. Last 5 games, the team hitting under 150. But you can't blame that on Jose Ramirez. He's off to a really strong start. What is he doing differently this year?
Well, Greg, I spoke with one member of the organization here the last couple of days about how Jose has really settled in very nicely here this season. Finding, I think, some comfort with having Francisco Lindor and Carlos Santana behind him. A little more protection in that regard. You think about last year with Lindor out, Jason Kipnis out. I think Jose Ramirez felt that need to carry the team so much last season, and you heard Terry Francona and others talk last year about how he was sometimes not on time, a little jumpy at the plate, was pulling a lot of pitches foul down the right field line in many cases. Now he is on time, hitting well, but as you point out, Greg, the rest of the club must now find a way to get their offensive groove going, especially in the outfield. They've had so many different players cycling through outfield spots there for the Indians the last couple seasons. They need some more stability there if this team is going to find a way to validate the great pitching of Zach Plesac and find a way to get this team back to the postseason here in 2020.
And John Morosi live at Great American Ballpark. John, thank you very much. Bring you back inside Studio 3. Greg with Harold.
3 switch hitters, man.
Yeah.
Santana, Lindor, and Ramirez.
Right.
And that's important when you hit in the same group. You talk, you share information. It's important.
All right, we've gone this long. We need to dive in. Can we dive into the pitchers?
Yeah.
I mean, we need to. Can you do us a favor? You start with Plesac.
Okay, Plesac, man. This guy out of Indiana, impressive stuff. All-star pitcher. I mean, it's just been electric when you start looking at the stuff he has. But, the thing about him, tall, 6'5", green eyes, resembles Tom Cruise. I mean, he's got the good looks, young, charming. Here he is, all-star appearances, but his fastball's electric, mid-90s and up. He can move it up, down in the zone, and he'll throw you a slider every now and then to keep you off balance, even getting great hitters out. But it's the fastball he relies on. He is not afraid to throw it, and he will step in the bucket of sass on you in a heartbeat. That's the type of stuff this guy brings.
Time out. I was asking about Zach Plesac.
Oh,
really good.
I spent all this time.
I'm sorry.
There's another one?
Yes.
Oh,
there's another one? Ooh, Big shoes to fill. Can you talk about the other police set?
We'll talk about the relevant one, Zach Attack. He's come such a long way. I give the Indians a lot of credit, Greg. They drafted him with his arm in a sling, had Tommy John surgery his junior year at Ball State University. You're going, is that the place where David Letterman went? Yes. Fastball anywhere from 92 to 94. Good curveball. He's a little bit inconsistent with the curveball and the slider. He throws both. His best off-speed pitch, you're looking at it, the straight changeup. He's always had a good one. His fastball, curveball combo is his best. The slider, his last start, struck out 11, a career high against the White Sox. The best slider he's had as a pro, best right-handed pickoff move in the sport. There isn't a player in the big leagues right now, pitcher, that is as good an athlete. Look at this.
Wow.
It's hard to get Tim Anderson a 2-foot leadoff. Watch this catch on a pop-up in Kansas City. This makes every single pitcher proud. You know, most of the time, like, hey, pitchers, get out of the way. Unfortunately, he thinks he's a third baseman / shortstop. But the guy he's opposing tonight, Sonny Gray, I'm listening to the top 5 pitchers in the sport. He's in my top 5 right now, and that's tough. With DeGrom, Bieber, Sonny Gray, Garrett Cole, and Mike Soroka, 4-pitch mix. And I think getting reunited with his college coach at Vanderbilt, I think he tried too hard with the Yankees. He tried to be too much too soon. Remember the back of the New York Post, Sonny with a chance of rain, R-E-I-G-N? He slowed things back down. He's comfortable in his shoes. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, great velo. He's the real deal.
Who was a better high school basketball player, you or Zach?
Oh, I was. No, that's not even close. That's not even close.
I figured I'd ask. It wasn't in the tape. No. Hey, congratulations. NL Player of the Week will be in this showcase game. Nick Castellanos, red hot. A couple home runs.
Well, you remember
yesterday.
he went from Nicholas to Nick. The one thing he has not changed is the fact this guy continues to rake. You know, I remember talking to him about, oh, you learned from Miguel Cabrera and J.D. Martinez. No, he figured it out on his own. Here's the thing I watched this guy. He talked about not liking to hit in Detroit because the ball didn't jump to the opposite field like he liked to. But as he continued to mature and grow, I think his swing was natural inside out. He got stronger, hit the weights. He knew what he was up against. And then voila, he ends up going to Chicago. And all of a sudden he gets into a park and now everything works for him. You can throw him out there, he's going to flip it into the stands. He learned that you can take that pitch right there and he can shoot it out of the ballpark to right center field. His natural stroke. But if you throw anything away, again, very similar to what we started the show with Aaron Judge. You bust me in, I'm going to hurt you, but eventually I'm going to get what I want. And I remember looking back, Detroit and this game in Chicago. Basically the same pitch off a left-hander. See where this pitch is at? The difference is on the left over here, he's going to roll over it. All right? On the right, he's now going to shoot this ball to right center field. Now, he's got to the point now where he can take that pitch and he can scoop it and throw it wherever he wants. You want to throw it there? I can shoot it to the right center field bleachers. I can take that same pitch, and if you're going to throw it in that spot, I can shoot it high over to left center field. All right? He learned about what he can or can't do. And this was the most impressive one. Left center, a ball on the inside half. So now, where do you go to get this guy out? He'll pull a pitch in, or he may decide I'll shoot the inside pitch the other way for a homer. He is dangerous. And when you're able to do what he's doing now, and he's grown into his body, he's now a full-grown man and has an understanding of what he can do, he's dangerous. And he's going to continue to get better. You talk about top 5 hitters, he's one of the top 5 hitters in the game. No doubt.
Really?
Top 5.
You're not saying hottest hitters.
I'm not saying hot. I'm saying he's one of the top 5 hitters in baseball. He's that good.
When he got traded to the Cubs, he was so good. I thought for sure they were going to pounce.
He brought them back into
I
the
thought
race.
for sure they were going to bring him back. You couldn't play any better than Castellanos did.
He's special.
And now he goes to the Reds, and he's got a hit in every single game. He's hitting all 9.
See?
Guy's hitting 387 with a 472 on base.
Back it up for me, Nick.
You know what? He is one of the top 5 hitters.
Thank you, Nick.
You're believing, finally.
Harold sold me. Let's go to ballpark cam before we go to break. Oh, and there he is in the cage. Not trying to do too much, is he, Harold?
Nope. He's just being himself. But look, he's yoked, man. And you know the thing about the big leagues? It's routine. Once you figure out what your routine is and then you stay within yourself, that's when you become a consistent performer. And that's where he's at. That's where pitchers do.
That's where Steven Nelson and John Smoltz are at. Consistent performers.
Be consistent. They're
going to be
consistent
calling
in the
this
same place
game
all the time.
And we're going to interact with them after the break on Deck Circle.
On Deck Circle is presented by NTT. NTT is a global technology and business solutions provider and is proud to welcome back Major League Baseball.
Welcome back to On Deck Circle, presented by NTT. Getting closer and closer to our showcase game here on MLB Network. The guys excited to call it. Steven Nelson and Hall of Famer John Smoltz. Guys, this is a doozy. If you want a pitching matchup, this is marquee right now.
Yeah, Greg, first of all, I've never felt more insignificant before a broadcast. I got the big three in studio. I'm sitting next to the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. I'm not worthy, Smoltzy, and I'm not worthy of talking about these two pitching rotations and the starting staff specifically. You definitely are, though.
Well, the biggest thing, right, everyone liked Cincinnati and what they did, and their pitching staff was going to get them to the next level. And certainly when you think about what they potentially can do, I know it's early in the season, and we're going to over-magnify everything, but Cincinnati has established themselves as a legit team for a playoff run. On the other hand, Cleveland never leaves their starter pitching. It just seems like every year they're going to add somebody, even if they lose somebody. So they're dominating right now with their starting pitching. If they hit it all, they'd be closer to being the team that people would feel comfortable about winning the Central. So when you talk about both Centrals, it really is going to come down to the pitching staff. I don't think Cleveland's going to hit this low the entire year. I don't think they're going to pitch that great the entire year, but they're off to a fast start on the mound, a lot of confidence.
And I like these two starting staffs. They were built differently. You know, Cincinnati acquired these guys. Cleveland, they're drafting and developing these studs. When it comes to the Plesacks, right, I think we've come to know Zach as Dan's nephew. But, Zach, I'm wondering, you played 18 years in the big leagues, three-time All-Star. I know Zach's not there yet. At what point do you and maybe the rest of the family start to refer to you as Zach's uncle?
Steven, you've never felt more insignificant to me either right now. You know what? Let me tell you, it started about 5 days ago because in the Plesac household in Northwest Indiana, the majority are Chicago White Sox fans, right? So
yes,
he had a career game in his last start, 11 strikeouts, no walks. He was amazing. I guess what has amazed me the most is how fast he's come in such a short amount of time. A couple of years ago, he had Tommy John surgery, a terrific athlete. John, he reminds me a lot of like what you were. Good basketball player, great athlete in a pitcher's body. And I wonder, John, I want to ask you, Zach struggles with the everyday being a pitcher. He wants to play third base. He thinks he can do it all. Did you go through that too when you were
climbing walls when he's shagging flies?
Yeah, I drove my manager crazy, but he understood, Bobby understood I needed to be active, so I shagged fly balls like crazy to stay in shape. I would take grounders at infield. I did little things to try to make sure that you felt like an everyday player, and you grow out of it when you get older, but I robbed about 2,465 home runs in BP, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I'm sure Zach will get a chance to do that. But I got to ask you, Dan, because two questions. One, first question, when did you know? How early did you think he had a chance? And two, my mom could never watch me pitch. She did laundry. What is it like for you to watch him when you're not on the network? Because I know how hard that is when you're on the network.
Two very easy questions to answer. I'll answer the first one first. I didn't assume that he was ever going to play in the big leagues as a pitcher. Terrific athlete, third baseman, shortstop. He could always run. He could always hit. But pitching was kind of secondary. So it has surprised me, one, that he's in the big leagues as a pitcher. I always knew that he was going to either football, baseball, basketball. Somehow, some way, he was going to be successful. To answer your second question, John, I don't know how my mother did it for 18 seasons because when he's on and he's pitching well, I stay in the same seat. As soon as he gives up a hit or a walk, I move to another seat. I was actually doing a game last year and watching it on the road in Yankee Stadium, and he gave up 2 home runs in the 4th inning opposite field, and I was throwing socks and shoes at the TV. I was screaming at that short porch at right field at Yankee Stadium. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm going to get off the air and watch it tonight, but it's not a comfortable thing because, you know, John, you and I have done this for a living, and when Zach made his debut at Fenway Park, you and I know what it's like to warm up on that mound with those fans standing there. You and I know what it's like to stand on that bump when things aren't going well and an inning is getting away from you. And it's funny, I watch a game right now and I see the Yankees lineup, and I go through that lineup and I talk about it. But now when my nephew is facing that lineup, or tonight, he's trying to get through Joey Votto, Nicholas Castellanos, Mike Moustakas. Now, in my opinion, I'm watching this going, oh, take it easy on my nephew. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult for me to watch because I know what it's like, John. It's a different animal when you're out there on the mound 60 feet 6 inches away.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've come to love Sack when he's doing MLB Tonight, and Mike Moustakas, it's a home run. He gives the most enthusiastic, call the park ranger, the moose is loose. If it happens tonight, call the park ranger.
I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say, Steven? Put that moose in the zoo and keep him there.
All right, Zach, you talk about how Zach, not Zach, wanted to be or played third base and shortstop when he was in high school. He's got a pretty good shortstop playing behind him in Francisco Lindor. I'm sure you get asked all the time, Smoltzy, who's the best shortstop in all the game? When it comes to Lindor, you're actually asking a different question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys you could pick, but if I'm starting a franchise tomorrow with a shortstop that has the total package, it's Francisco Lindor. He's got the smile, he's got the presence. He's going to give me everything that I need for the money that I'm going to invest in him, and he's going to make those around him better. When it talks about all those shortstops, there are many talented just as much as he is, but I think the separator for me is when you talk about the personality, the charisma, and everything that goes along with it. It's infectious, and I think that's the difference maker for me. If I'm an owner going, okay, great young players, great young shortstops, I'm going to choose him because of all those intangibles.
I mean, you talk about the hair, the electric smile. One thing he doesn't have, sideburns. Greg Amsinger does.
No,
Back to
but
you,
he has
fellas.
time to work on that. It comes with age.
It's true.
Don't force it. That's the key, Stephen. That's the
Patience.
key. Guys, we look forward to the call, our showcase game here on the network. This is some news. The start of tonight's matchup will be delayed due to impending inclement weather. We'll update you when we know more. This is a game that was supposed to begin at 6:40. They're pushing us back already.
Ooh,
Mother Nature looked cranky.
Wow, ooh, that's nasty. That's nasty.
Okay.
See, Smoltzy pitched through a lot of those rain delays. That's why he lost his hair.
Is that why?
Think about
I always wondered.
things to do.
I always wondered.
Yep. I know.
Sack versus Gray will continue to set the stage for this one. We come back. Don't go anywhere. Indians against the Cincinnati Reds. We are in a delayed start. I don't want to say a weather delay because I don't.
Dan, what's Sonny Gray thinking right there?
See that toe tap, that left foot right there? That's like, that's the horse that's ready to be, he's ready to go. He wants, put the equipment on, let's get the race started. I'm ready to go. That's
so when do you find this out? Because, pitchers go out, 25 minutes early to get ready?
He probably has an idea right now where they've said, hey, we're going to try to get this thing started 6:50. By that look right there, he's at least 15 to 20 minutes minimum away from throwing a first pitch. So
what gives that away? His belt's undone?
No, because I think if this game was going to start, and his shirt's out, if he was really seriously ready to start warming up, he wouldn't be standing in the dugout right now. He'd be out in the bullpen.
Okay, but this is even worse.
Oh, they're just putting this down
getting
now.
on the field.
That's another reason why he's toe tapping. The tarp.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing as a starting pitcher that just irked me in the minor leagues. You get so creative. 7:05, 6:35 game time. You start the countdown,
right.
And then you have to wait.
Yeah. Someday there'll be domes
everywhere.
Everywhere. Can you imagine no weather delay? That'd be a bummer for our TV viewers because they love bonus MLB Tonight. We're back with more after this. Welcome back. As you can see, Sonny Gray is not minutes away from pitching against the Cleveland Indians. He's not.
No, that's nervous moving around right there. You don't want to be in the clubhouse. You want to start to take the environment in, and you just don't want to sit there in that clubhouse. You feel isolated. You want to get the day started. That's why he's outside in the dugout right now. Fresh air, looking at the mound, trying to get his thoughts together. It's a frustrating thing about being a starting pitcher.
Yeah, there are some guys off to frustrating starts. One guy off to a great start to the year is John Morosi, who's never had a bad season. Not one. And he enjoys this. He's live there at Great American Ballpark. He'll be part of the broadcast. Stephen Nelson, Hall of Famer John Smoltz. We didn't talk about this during the commercial break, but I just kind of want to pick your brain on this. One of my favorite third basemen in the sport is Eugenio Suarez. What he did last year was off the charts, dominant and great. He is lost right now. I think it was like 3 for 32. I never thought a guy who, to me, had a bulletproof swing the last couple of years could be off to such a poor start. What do you think about Suarez?
Well, Greg, we asked David Bell, the Reds manager, that question, in fact, earlier today about what he has seen with Suarez's at-bats here recently. And David made the point that, yes, it's still a small sample size, even though, yes, we are advancing through the season in this abbreviated 60-game schedule. He has seen better swings, David Bell said, from Suarez here in recent days. So the expectation is for the Reds that he will get going. And when he does get going, you've got Joey Votto back in the lineup. Moustakas, of course, he missed some time. He is back now. Castellanos, the reigning NL Player of the Week. This is a very deep and a very scary lineup. But you're right, and of course, Suarez, recall, he injured his shoulder with the pool incident there in earlier before spring training, so maybe some lost time there. Didn't quite have the same number of at-bats that he would usually have. So again, it's probably a combination of some lost time, getting back from the injury, and now the abbreviated schedule at a time when there's a lot of expectations on this Reds team. That's why actually sweeping that doubleheader yesterday, getting back close to around 500 was so important for the Reds. Yes, it's early, but that was a very important day for the Reds to win those 2 games, and the hope is that as Suarez's at-bats get better and better, that his production should pick up to be more of like that 49 homer a year player we've seen of him be in the past, of course, on a prorated basis here across 60 games.
You know, I'm glad you brought up expectations, because even though there are no fans in the stands, ownership cares about what the fan base is thinking. And after they spent over $160 million in the offseason on this roster, they needed some dividends quickly to pay off. Even though Wade Miley's struggling a little bit, Akiyama not off to a great start. For Castellanos and Moustakas to play at the level they're playing at is imperative for the fan base to go, okay, this is money well spent, even though it's early on.
It's a great point, Greg. I think that initial impression matters a lot for free agents when they come to a new city. And I'll say this for Castellanos. We spoke today with David Bell about what do you see from Nick Castellanos. And I remember covering one of our very first showcase games of the year, actually the first one, opening night. After the game was over, Nick Castellanos was out in right field discussing some outfield positioning in full uniform long after the game was over. That, my friend, is intensity. And David Bell said that even when you're having a casual conversation with Nick, that you've got to be ready to really engage on a deep level with even just the basics of the game in a casual conversation. So, as David Bell told us, he wants to be great. Castellanos does. He wants to be an MVP-type player. He's playing like one right now. And Moustakas, I think it was no accident, Greg, that, of course, he missed some time last week due to the COVID protocol, ended up testing negative and being fine. But even just when he was not there, he has that certain energy about him that we saw be the case with the Royals back during the last decade, and a big reason why the Royals won the World Series there and made it to 2 in a row was the energy and the excitement. Moustakas brought that to the Brewers. He has been a beloved teammate, Greg. Everywhere he has been in this game, there's a reason for that. He's got a lot of intensity and a lot of energy and a great leader as well. So those two players, you're absolutely right. Castellanos, Moustakas, they've been delivering as expected. The rotation's been great. I think despite the early hiccups, this team is going to the postseason this year.
Oh, wow, okay. Beloved, one more thing I want to get into. Beloved is how people describe Terry Francona. Now, earlier, in case you're just tuning in, you were reporting that a gastrointestinal issue is keeping Terry Francona out of this series. He's not going to manage these 2 games, non-COVID-19 related stuff. So Sandy Alomar Jr. is going to manage the Cleveland Indians. And I hope Terry Francona is okay, speedy recovery. But this is a wonderful opportunity for Sandy Alomar Jr., JP. And you know him. I've had a chance to talk to him. I still can't believe he's never been a big league manager. And I hope over the next 2 games, people can see what managerial chops this guy's got.
I agree, Greg. I think Sandy Alomar Jr. has got a great future ahead of him in baseball. He's only 54 years old. He's a very young manager, I think, in the game still, even by today's standards, with a lot of experience already under his belt. This is a 6-time all-star as a player. He's done so much in the game. Of course, international experience as well for him, being from Puerto Rico as well. He is someone who brings so much to the game. He has done everything the right way. And you think about what the Cleveland Indians have done over time as being a real cradle for executives and managers and coaches over time. Of course, Mickey Callaway got his opportunity with the Mets coming from the Cleveland Indians. So I think for so many different reasons, Sandy Alomar Jr., I believe, will be a manager in the major leagues. Would not surprise me if it happens in the next 3 or 4 years. But he has certainly had interviews before. He's been looked at before. There is every reason to believe that eventually he deserves that look and will get that look, because I believe Sandy Alomar Jr. will be a phenomenal manager in the major leagues.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. Phenomenal reporting by you, John Morosi, on the fly. We didn't go over topics. That was pretty cool. John, you're the best. No, you're the best. Thank you, man. He'll be part of the broadcast. Our showcase game, Indians and Reds, whenever it does begin. I want to get back to the news that we saw on this day. A 4-game series between the Tigers and Cardinals at Comerica on Tuesday, August 4th through Thursday, August 6th, has been postponed. The reason for that, here it is. The Cardinals have had 13 members of the organization test positive for COVID-19 in the last week, including 7 players and 6 staff members. The club, which has been in quarantine since Thursday, will stay in Milwaukee, and their personnel will continue to be tested daily. The tentative plan is for the team to resume its regular season schedule on Friday against the Chicago Cubs in St. Louis. And I got to tell you, over the weekend, there were a lot of people in the industry holding their breath, because we were thinking, oh, how bad is this going to be? It ended up being pretty bad. 7 players. They're in the double digits now in terms of how many people in the organization have been affected. But to hear the commissioner come out and say, look, it's not a prerequisite that everybody's got to play 60 games.
No.
That's big.
Well, that's where we're at. Look, we talk about this, it seems like weekly or daily. They're going to make adjustments along the way. Mm-hmm. You know, the goal, yes, it's 60 games, get to the playoffs. But there's been a 66-day mandate. We know that. There's only 66 days to get all this finished. So with all the games changing, with doubleheaders, we've changed it to 7 games now.
7 innings.
7 innings, I mean. So they're making adjustments along the way, and they're going to continue to adjust. And, yeah, maybe the schedule gets changed along the way as well.
And this is a team that had lofty expectations, the St. Louis Cardinals. They really thought they had enough starting pitching to go out and, win this division. Now, maybe they can still do that. Here, look at your NL Central standings.
Never too early to look at the standings.
Especially in a 60-game season. And the Chicago Cubs look like, to me, Dan, they look like they got a chip on their shoulder. And David Ross is like, you know what? I was in the media last couple of years. They all think you're done. They think the Reds are the next hot team.
They have one question they need to answer. When's Craig Kimbrell going to show up? The real Craig Kimbrell. Their starting pitching has been good. The offense has been good. Parts of their bullpen has been good. Craig Kimbrell has not been good in 2 appearances. They need to find a way to get him going, because the bullpen are built from the back first, right? You take care of the 9th inning, the 7th and the 8th will take care of itself. You'll find those roles. Craig Kimbrell's had a difficult time throwing strikes, and if he's not the guy, they're going to have to find a guy. My heart's telling me he's too good. He was rushed last year. The free agency thing didn't work out. He had little time. And I, like a lot of people, were hoping that this would help him get off to a good start. It's been an awful start. It's only been a couple of games, but they're going to need him to get this thing figured out.
He's the only blemish.
They need him to be Craig Kimbrell, not Craig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor guy. He's from the Chicago area. Yeah. I mean, when you have an accent, that's a tough name.
Craig Kimbrell.
Say it again.
Craig Kimbrell.
Anyway, I got to tell you, this division is interesting to me. And
I'm sorry, Dan.
Craig Kimbrell stole the show. I'm excited to bring you this showcase game on MLB Network. Indians, Reds. The Reds have won 2 straight.
He's like, look, Harold did a breakdown on me. Woo, it was unbelievable.
The belt is still undone, which means we are definitely in a delayed start. Sonny Gray.
You would have to think, like right now, just looking at this, it's going to take him 5 to 10 minutes to get out there, 15 minutes to warm up, probably looking at 30 minutes total.
That's if he left right now.
30 minutes?
Before the first pitch.
Before first pitch.
He's not
even close to going out there right now.
Okay. I'm just the eternal optimist. When he does go out there, he'll face
Could they get to a point, Dan, where they just say, Sonny, you're skipping tonight?
No, he hasn't warmed up yet, so that's one of the reasons why right now he has a little anxiety, a little nervous to get going.
And if you're still with us, you're in luck. Indians, Reds. first of a 2-game set at Great American Ballpark. It's Zach Plesac against Sonny Gray. For more on this matchup, let's check in with the guys set to call it, Steven Nelson and Hall of Famer John Smoltz. Fellas.
Thank you, GA, H, and Zach. Well, this has become an unfortunate, familiar sight at Great American Ballpark thus far in 2020. The 5th time that game has been delayed or postponed already this season. So we're awaiting the start of this showcase game between the Cincinnati Reds and Cleveland Indians. But once we do get going and once we do have baseball, John Smoltz, it should be a treat because you have Sonny Gray, who has reestablished himself as one of the aces in all of baseball, against Zach Plesac, who's trying to do the same in year number 2 for Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, this is, if you like pitching, this is a game you want to watch.
I think you do.
Hopefully they get on the mound soon because rhythm is everything in pitching, right? So these two guys are in good rhythm right now. I mean, Zach Plesac's only pitched 1 game, but all he did was pitch 8 innings, 11 strikeouts, and no walks. Well, Sonny Gray's been doing this for a while now for the Cincinnati Reds, and people are starting to take notice because the consistency of which he's pitching is no fluke anymore. It's the capability he always had. He had a hiccup in New York. He had a lot of information overkill, I think. And then this is the moments that each pitcher's personality is a little bit different. You would never see me doing this. I'm doing more time-killing stuff, but he's very relaxed, and he's a guy that nothing's bothering him, right? I mean, He's pitching without a shirt on. He's kicking back. I mean, this is where it gets strange for certain pitchers. I like to have my food intake timed right. I wanted to have a lot of things timed out so that when you go to pitch, you're in that rhythm, right? You learn your own system of getting ready. When a rain delay comes, you want to know 30 minutes in advance, at least some. Maybe some take a little longer, but I wouldn't have been. I mean, you could just tell by the personality. He's in the dugout, kicking back, loose, and he's just getting ready to pitch. Now, part of that might be the fact that there are no fans, right? that could be part of it. And part of it's because of the facilities of which you don't have total access to.
Sure.
So there's a lot of things that players are having to learn to be uncomfortable this year. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that takes a lot for some guys to learn what next. You know, the year of 2020 is what next.
And we're hoping what's next for us, Smoltzy, is live baseball and another MLB Network Showcase game. Again, if you're just tuning in, Reds and Tribe in a delay at Great American Ballpark right now. As soon as we have a new start time, we'll pass that along to you. But one of the late changes before the weather came was a positive one for Cincinnati, and that Joey Votto was activated off the COVID-19 injury list after he did not officially test positive. Okay, I just want to stress that. He was feeling symptoms, self-reported them, so they sat him down for a while. But in terms of on-field production, John Smoltz, it hasn't been the same Joey Votto the last couple of years.
No, it hasn't. And I thought this year, and I still believe this year, you'll see a version of it, although it'll be shorter because of 60 games. He's healthy. He's had a break. He's the most polarized hitter that we talk about in this network for a lot of people that want to see him do XYZ or ABC. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing about Joey Votto is he's the only one, along with his organization, knew what he was playing through. Physical ailments, knee. If you got a lower half injury in any way, it's going to alter the way you perform at the plate. Same with the pitcher. And I think that the time off had to make him reset. And I think he's going to have a monster campaign if they can get rolling with not a lot of interruptions in between.
Yeah, you and Scott Braun called the first showcase game. It was Cincinnati-Detroit. He went deep, went yard again the next day, hoping that he can pick that up here. Again, he's off the COVID-19 injury list and in the lineup for Cincinnati against Cleveland tonight. So let's go to the other side of this matchup offensively. And Francisco Lindor, I mean, how can you not love talking about Mr. Smile, Smoltzy?
Well, they have a unique opportunity in the front of their lineup. You know, they can put up to 4 switch hitters, right? They got 3 switch hitters, and he's one of them. And he just doesn't miss a beat no matter which side he's from the plate. And I think that his energy and consistency and the ability to get big hits. Look, he can play defense like nobody else, but he has this ability to lead his team with a personality that's important. You know, when you think about the Cleveland Indians, you think about him and Ramirez. And offensively, it's been a big struggle in the outfield. I mean, you usually got to get something out of your outfield if you're going to have that kind of you know, you can give up some positions and be an all-defensive, lesser hitter, but in the outfield, you need some guys that can either thump or get on base, and they're having a hard time finding that.
Yeah, that offense, especially the last season for sure, it was Lindor, Ramirez, Carlos Santana, and then basically nothing else. With due respect for the guys who suited up for Cleveland last year, they just didn't produce at that level. So he's slotted in there in the 3-hole, playing shortstop, batting behind Ramirez, of course, in front of Carlos Santana. So we're in our MLB Network studios in New Jersey. We do have a presence, though, at Great American Ballpark. JP Morosi, just logging so many miles on the road, is back there. Now, JP, what is the latest that you're hearing about when we might start this game?
Stephen, good evening. The weather folks here are due to convene again around 7:30 local time, so about 15 minutes from now. They'll reassess things at that point in time. We do have a great deal of optimism, though, that baseball will be played here at Great American Ballpark this evening. You talked earlier about the Reds and how often they have dealt with weather issues. David Bell, the Reds manager, talked about how over the weekend, Trevor Bauer warmed up, was fully hot, ready to pitch on Saturday. That game was postponed, so after getting all the way ready to pitch, he came back on the very next day, the complete game, 7-inning win, the shutout for him. So a remarkable outing for him there in the nightcap yesterday in Detroit. And really, David Bell talked about how impressive that was to see. Something in baseball you really don't really realize how difficult it is until you see it up close. So certainly a great job by Trevor Bauer over the weekend for the Reds. Now on the Cleveland side, Terry Francona is not here with the club here as they begin the Ohio Cup to get things underway here in Game 1. Terry Francona yesterday in Minneapolis was experiencing some mild gastrointestinal symptoms. So Terry Francona went back to Cleveland, was examined today at the Cleveland Clinic. He is not expected to join the club here at all for this 2-game series. Wednesday, of course, the series moves to Cleveland. It is possible that he could manage the club then, but nothing's been said about a timetable. Chris Cincinnati, their president of baseball operations, saying earlier today, the priority is just making sure Terry Francona is healthy, ready to go, and get back into the dugout when he feels healthy enough to do so. Of course, we know what a great person he's been in the game for so many years, and certainly a lot of people rooting for Terry around the game right now to get back, get healthy. Of course, the most wins in the American League since he took over this club in Cleveland in 2013. Now, on the Red side of things, you spoke about Joey Votto, of course, coming back to the lineup, and Nicholas Castellanos, the reigning National League Player of the Week. But one name to watch here tonight and going forward, Eugenio Suarez. He had 49 home runs last season, actually setting the National League record. Yes, the NL record for home runs by a third baseman. 49. The only player that hit more ever at third base was A-Rod back in 2007. So incredible power hitting for Suarez last year. A bit of a slow start so far this season. David Bell telling us that he expects the at-bats, and actually has already seen the at-bats get a little bit better here the last couple of days. That trend line should continue. And once he is back to being himself, with Votto, with Castellanos, with Moustakas, with certainly other names in this lineup, Nick Senzel, who's out of the lineup tonight, this could be a very, very scary lineup going forward. Still think it's a playoff-bound team, Stephen, but we'll begin to see tonight here as Game 1 of the Ohio Cup gets underway when weather permits here from Cincinnati. Back to you.
Thank you so much, JP. Again, another look at Sonny Gray, tonight's scheduled starter for the Cincinnati Reds, staying loose in the dugout as they sit in a rain delay across from the Tribe. Now, Cincinnati won 2 straight. They took that first ever 7-inning doubleheader in Detroit yesterday. They've won 3 of 4 to get back into this thing, now 4-5 on the season. Meanwhile, Cleveland, well, they dropped 3 in a row. Got beat up in Minnesota. They're going to try and break that skid on the road. Game 1 of the Ohio Cup coming your way shortly as soon as this weather delay is over. But while we're in a weather delay, you get Rain Delay Theater on the other side of this break with a friend, Fran Charles.
Coming up now, we've got our MLB Network Showcase matchup. The Indians getting set to take on the Reds. On the call, Steven Nelson, Hall of Famer John Smoltz, and JP Morosi. Guys, all yours.
This guy is fun to watch. Wow, what a run.
Boy, he's putting on a clinic.
Oh, my. Away back. Look at that, baby. Votto puts a charge into that one.
Good things come to those who wait, right? In this case, the wait was a couple hours, and the good thing, live baseball. It's the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. Game 1 of the Ohio Cup at Great American Ballpark. The Cincinnati Reds, who have won a couple in a row, hosting the Tribe. It's the Natty in the land. Here are the AL Central standings. Cleveland, the series of Minnesota, suboptimal for the Tribe. They dropped 3 in a row to fall 2.5 games behind the Twins in American League. The White Sox surging now in second place. On the National League side of the Central coin, Cincinnati really slow out the gate, but they picked it up and are now 4-5 on the season, 3 games behind the Chicago Cubs. Since they're going to try and keep it rolling after winning the first ever 7-inning doubleheader at Comerica Park. Inside our MLB Network studios in New Jersey, Steven Nelson alongside the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. I would try and do, in honor of the Ohio Cup, OHIO, but he's a Michigander. He's a Michigan State Spartan. I know better than that. But, Smoltzy, this pitching matchup, it's right up your alley.
It is. Both pitchers basically are on a roll. I know it's early in the season, but when you think about these two pitchers, Sonny Gray's been doing it a lot longer than Zach Plesac, but Sonny Gray, since coming over from the Yankees, has dominated with the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, he's putting up some numbers that a lot of pitchers would love to boast about. And, you know, the Reds are for real because of their rotation. And for the Cleveland Indians, Zach Plesac's just another one of those guys that you can plug in and go, really? Their rotation might be the best in the American League. And Zach's going to get a second look at his 11 strikeout, no walk performance. And the Cleveland Indians just have to find a way to hit.
Sonny Gray stayed loose during the rain delay, and the way he's been going, whatever you're doing, Sonny, the Reds are hoping you keep it up. He gets a boost with Joey Votto off the COVID-19 injury list. He's in the lineup along with Nicholas Castellanos. JP Morosi is going to join the broadcast next to talk about the reigning NL Player of the Week. We're back in Cincinnati. Well, some of us are. John Smoltz and I are in the booth, but we're not alone on the broadcast. JP Morosi is there on the ground at Great American Ballpark. JP, how are you, my friend?
Outstanding, Stephen. Thanks for having me here on the show tonight. If you were to ask a player to describe his perfect day against a former team, it might include a doubleheader sweep and 2 home runs. That was the reality for Nicholas Castellanos yesterday in Detroit as we look at StatCast, powered by Google Cloud. 2 homers in his first 2 at-bats. The first exit velo more than 105 miles per hour, 410 feet to left center. But I think, Stephen, even more impressive was the second home run. A 94-mile-an-hour fastball in off the plate. The inside-out swing to right field at more than 100 miles an hour as well. David Bell, the Reds manager, told us today Nicholas Castellanos wants to be an MVP in the future. That could happen pretty soon. He is playing that way. He is also the reigning National League Player of the Week. Stephen, back to you.
And he earned that, JP. Thank you, my friend. 9 games last week for Castellanos, 4 home runs, 8 ribbies, scored 8 times, slash line 387, 472, 871. That'll play. We will play baseball coming up. Lineups and first pitch for the Tribe and Reds next. The MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet is back at Great American Ballpark, where we kicked off the season. John Smoltz, you and Scott Braun, correct?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our Wendy's lineup for the visiting Tribe from the land. Francisco Lindor, one of 6 switch hitters in this lineup, Smoltzy.
It's hard to defend if you're trying to bring in relievers against these guys.
Lindor batting third, playing short for Cleveland. 6 home runs in his career against Cincinnati. Hitting a home run off this man, that's a tough assignment, especially the last couple seasons.
He's been stingy on giving up hits. Matter of fact, he just doesn't give up more than 6. So he hasn't given up many runs. And for Sonny Gray and the Cincinnati Reds, look,
They built this club in the offseason to compete. Didn't know it was going to be 60 games, but they feel like their rotation can compete against most in this ballpark where home runs should jump out. Sonny Gray needs all 5 fingers of the catcher. He has 5 pitches that he can go to, but you're going to see a lot of spinning breaking balls. That's his forte, where he goes to the money pitch. They basically cannot hit his curveball or slider when he's on.
He can really spin it, literally. Can spin it better than basically anybody in baseball, and he has rediscovered himself in Cincinnati, reuniting with Derek Johnson, pitching coach for the Reds, his former pitching coach at Vanderbilt, where he played in college. Now, as we look to the dugout of the visiting Cleveland Indians, we do not see Terry Francona, back in Cleveland, as he was dealing with some gastrointestinal issues. He was checked out at the Cleveland Clinic today. We're sending our best to Tito. Sandy Alomar Jr. is filling in, moving from first base to the dugout as the manager. Today's first pitch is presented by Chevrolet, supporting first pitches everywhere. And with Sonny Gray throwing it, you feel pretty good about it if you're a Cincinnati Reds fan. We are underway with a strike. Game 1 of the Ohio Cup. With John Smoltz and J.P. Morosi, who's there at Great American Ballpark. Stephen Nelson. It's just awesome to be watching baseball, talking about baseball with you here on the network. The 0-1 pitch swung on, grounded to first base by Cesar Hernandez. Joey Votto will step on first. We'll see Joey back in the lineup, activated today, Smoltz, after dealing with some COVID symptoms. Did not test positive. Self-reported the symptoms. Was on the IL for a couple of days, but he's back.
Yeah, good for him and good for the Reds and good for baseball. Obviously, there's been some setbacks for certain teams, and anytime you hear somebody not feeling good, you don't want the news to be COVID related.
No. And now Jose Ramirez takes a healthy hack at the first offering from Gray, fouls it off and falls behind 0-1. For a while, the Tribe was worried about this guy, I think. But the second half of last season, OPS north of 1,100, was 3rd in Major League Baseball behind Alex Bregman and Nelson Cruz. And he appears to be back and continuing that here to start off 2020.
Yeah, you mentioned this guy carried the ball club there for a period of time, and then last year he kind of lost his way, picked it up near the end, but the offense is heavily loaded on 3 guys.
Sky into left center, drifting back. There is Jesse Winker to make the grab just short of the track.
Yeah, the top 3 or 4 hitters in this lineup needs to do most of the damage. They haven't got a lot of production out of their outfield yet. They're trying to find the formula that'll make them not only competitive, but a chance to win a division. And to win a division, they're going to have to pitch like they are and score just a little bit.
They have not been doing much of that, as evidenced by this 3-game losing streak. Cleveland's dropped 4 or 5 despite sensational pitching for basically all this young 2020 season. Francisco Lindor, one of the best in all of baseball. He's threw a 94-mile-per-hour pitch from Sonny Gray, strike 1.
I'm telling you, Sonny Gray is feeling it, and you can tell when a pitcher is feeling it just in his rhythm and the confidence to throw every pitch where he wants to.
Lindor breaks his back. That one hooks foul.
Lindor, one of the best at young shortstops in the game, and of course hits from both sides of the plate. He doesn't deviate, really. That's the amazing thing. Right-handed and left-handed, pretty much the same. He faces right-handers. He's hitting 279 in his career. He faces left-handers. He's hitting 302. Power numbers are going to be a lot greater from the right-hand side. But what a weapon to have to play shortstop, switch hitter. Basically, as long as he's healthy, plug him in every day.
And be a lightning rod for your franchise as well. Cleveland fans are hoping for many years to come. We'll get into that as the broadcast goes along. Go 2, a little high from Gray. So to your points, mostly, this is what it looked like for Lindor from both sides last season.
Yeah, you can see where from the left side, vertically in the middle part of the zone, a lot of hitters like that. But from the right side, he's a different hitter. And he covers up a little bit better than normal. From the left-hand side, you want to get him out, up. You see the 2 areas, up and in and up and away. And that's the opposite, really, for him as a right-handed hitter, up and away. And he can cover that. He has his power stroke.
2-2. Lindor hit well to right. Did you? No question. A home run from Lindor. And it's 1-0 Tribe.
I think this was supposed to be a cutter in. We'll get a chance to look at the replay. And ended up pretty much right in the middle of the zone. And Lindor's power right away on display for the Indians. Loves it middle in. Doesn't like it up. And see, this cutter is on the inside part of the plate. So he just did a better job of pulling his hands in. And in this ballpark, fly balls usually don't stick around.
No, they do not. And did we see a smile from Francisco? Well, that never happens.
Can't see it now.
It's there somewhere. As he's given his team a 1-0 lead against one of the hottest pitchers in the bigs in Sonny Gray, who's fallen behind Carlos Santana 2-0.
See, what's awesome about baseball is that, you know, as a pitcher, you're going to go to the weakness of the hitter. Sometimes the hitter's going to go up there looking at, you got to take away something the pitcher's trying to do to you. And we saw that pitch on the inner half of the, I mean, he dotted the line, and Lindor just did a better job. That was, of the average boxes, that was going to be one of the lower ones to hit.
This is why, one, we love watching baseball, but getting matchups like this, when you have Gray, Lindor, it's best on best. Who wins that chess match? And Santana's worked a favorable count. Swings at the 3-1, grounded foul to even things up.
Inner half of the plate, inner third, and what you got to do as a hitter is you got to get the barrel of the bat out a little bit quicker. And you see 214, 286. 286 not bad, but 214 right there in the middle, you would think would be a little bit better average for left-handed hitters. They love it down and in, but the whole at bat, Sonny Gray was trying to jam Lindor, and about the fifth pitch or so, he got the best of it.
Hope foul once again. We'll try and pay it off one more time.
Same thing with Santana. You can get him off inside the plate. Off the plate inside is where his outs are. One of the best guys that work in the count, getting on base. Had a great year last year. Coming back to the Indians.
What a homecoming. And Santana pokes it into right field. Gets down in front of Castellanos for a 2-out knock.
That was cover two. You just beat right there. Zone defense. Just a little slot receiver dropped the ball right inside the second baseman who's playing deep, and the right fielder can't come in and make that play.
Now Franmil Reyes, the designated hitter.
Here's a guy that they're depending on to provide some power and to play as they made that trade to get him in. Big, strong guy.
And he is very strong. There is foul ball. Who wants it? Eugenio, you take it. Came over in a deal at the deadline, up from San Diego. We were watching Franmil when he was playing in Eugene for the Emeralds in the Northwest League. And yeah, can't confirm he was strong even back then as he waves through that one to fall behind.
So two breaking balls. Sonny Gray can go higher than high or lower than low right here. These are the two areas that there's some holes in this man's game. He'll crush the strike zone. If you leave one fat over the middle of the strike zone, that's where he likes it, as do most hitters.
Gray's going to try and put him away with the 0-2, and he does. A strikeout to end the first for Sonny Gray, but Francisco Lindor hit him hard. A solo home run has Cleveland on top 1-0. How about the Wendy's lineup for the Cincinnati Reds? At the top, Shogo Akiyama leading things off, batting 2 spots in front of the reigning National League Player of the Week, Nick Castellanos.
This lineup's got some thump, got some power, and they're waiting for Mr. Suarez to get going.
Joey Votto, again, they're in the 2-hole, playing first base off the COVID injury list. Will face Zach Plesac this inning, and he is coming off a terrific start against the Chicago White Sox.
You can't draw it up any better than that. 11 strikeouts, no walks. Got a couple pitches they haven't even thought about getting a hit off of. 4-seam fastball, slider, changeup, curve. Those are the 4-pitch mix.
Whoa!
That's what they say. You need to throw your hands when you're hitting. He threw the bat.
Akiyama's going to go fetch the lumber. As he got the party started in that doubleheader against Detroit on Sunday, delivering a game-winning RBI, the first leg of it, singling off Joe Jimenez in the top of the 7th. And look at that swing and throw. Incredibly durable player in his time in MPB. Plesac pounds the bottom of the zone for strike 2.
So what Plesac does, along with even Bieber and some of the other guys that are the new style of pitching, you know, with velocity and spin rate, he's got a short arm action which really makes it hard for the hitter to pick up the ball. Not an arm swing. Takes it right from the glove. Now, there's a couple things there. Your shoulder's going to have to be strong. Your elbow's going to have to be in good shape. And if you are, and you can repeat your mechanics, it's going to be the hitter's going to see the fastball as having extra hop to it because they don't see it very. He hides it.
Akiyama taps it foul.
It's like throwing from your hip pocket. You know, the classic way of throwing, we were taught to just have an arm swing, and you got this fluid delivery. Not everybody is the same. But some of the guys, in the way that they're learning to max out their velocity, are changing some of the tools, if you will, and it's having its benefit, no doubt, as you can see the success he's having.
The head of Akiyama 1-2 comes upstairs and in, missing. Now 2-2. Talking to people who watch Zach Plesac, including his Uncle Dan here at the network, he's made a change this offseason. Last year you watch him, he is that more traditional, gets a little too loopy sometimes. Shortened it up this year. It's another foul ball from Akiyama. Maybe similar to what we saw from Lucas Giolito a year ago, making that change to shorten things up.
Yeah, and the only danger is that your body has to, you got to make that change so your body gets used to it so you don't put undue stress somewhere else. I think that's the only thing that pitchers, you know, once they change their muscle memory, have to get ready to get used to.
2-2. Akiyama rolls it over to Hernandez at second.
But you can already see when he has command with that fastball and he throws that change up, it comes out of the same slot. It's like, again, coming from your hip. So as a hitter, you're trying to lock in on 94, 95, and then the ball gets about 10 miles an hour difference. And I'm glad to see I am actually glad to see a lot of young pitchers still have the faith in the changeup. It's the greatest equalizer in the game today. And, you know, everyone's so into power stuff, you don't see as much finesse changeups out of young guys.
That changeup is his best secondary offering. So has a curve and slider. There's a tough out from Joey Votto. He's got a lot of clubs in the bag, so to speak. Takes ball one, just misses outside. The Reds were under the spotlight for the first MLB Network Showcase Game of the year. We called that along with Scott Braun. Reds taking on the Tigers, and Votto went deep. Everybody's been wondering, where's the Joey Votto of old? Where's the power? Showed it in that first series. And he does have a home run in his career against Zach Plesac.
Well, Joey Votto, if healthy, has so much talent. Sometimes he's expected to do so many different things That's why he's the most talked about hitter in the game. Controls the strike zone. Great eye. On base percentage. Hog, if you will. Won't swing above the strike zone hardly at all. But you see the numbers have gone down the last couple of years. 2015-17, no one could do what he was doing. Those are Mike Trout type numbers. And had some injuries and just getting off of the mechanics a little bit of being comfortable. It's been a little bit of a struggle the last couple of years. And I think talking to his manager and other people, he's healthy.
He draws a one-out walk here in the first.
So just to finish one of those thoughts that always is talked about him, there are conversations when he's at a 3-1 pitch to drive in a run or take a walk. Most people would say drive in the run. He's taking the walk, passing it on to the next guy. Well, that's all fine and dandy when your offense is balanced. And now it's balanced. But they needed Joey Votto to do a little bit more. That's why there was so much pressure on him.
To be every single player when he's just one. And Castellanos, just like the Reds starter today, Sonny Gray, top button down, chain out. I mean, just looking so pro. Takes ball one. Castellanos, the first Reds player to hit safely in the first 9 games of the season since Barry Larkin, who opened up the 95 campaign with 12 straight games. Went on to win MVP that season.
He crushed left-handers last year. I mean, crushed them.
Nightmare.
Against right-handers, his power numbers are going to be in the strike zone for sure. He likes the ball. At an elevated level, he's hitting the ball at about a 403 clip on pitches that are up. Like that's where you got to go above up. The top tier of the strike zone, he's going to get you. Right there, he's not going to get you. But the problem with right there is 4 inches, maybe less. And those are either going to be in the stands or in the catcher's glove. There's no in between, really.
He's got a 2-1 pitch coming his way from Plesac. Swung on, hit well. Nick Castellanos at the warning track. Caught by Mercado. Based on Plesac's reaction, I think he thought that was gone. I don't know. You're the pitcher, John Smoltz. Did you think that was a fly ball reaction or a home run?
If this would have been earlier in the day, a little more humid, that's the only part of the park, of course, in this ballpark that you have to keep the ball. Center field's legit here, but everything else to me, it's a hitter's paradise. So you got to keep it to center field. And then that storm that came through, a little cooler temperatures maybe, those are the contributing factors that may have kept that ball in.
Either way, Zach Plesac, we're writing that down as a fly out to center. Not out of the woods yet. Mike Moustakas. Strike one in the other third of the plate.
Can I tell you, that's just not a good feeling as a pitcher. It's similar to golf. You hit a ball that you think might go out of bounds and you're holding on.
It's in the air forever.
Please stay in. Please stay in.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Based on the sound and the reaction, I thought that was a goner from our vantage point in the stadium. Strike two. But when you see something like that, John, as a hitter, it's out instead of a home run. I mean, clearly there's some juice flowing for Plesac now. He gets ahead of a quality hitter, Moustakas.
It's a great feeling. There's no doubt. You know you're going up against a guy that's not going to give up many more runs, so you'll want to protect that one-run lead as long as possible.
Zach Plesac strikes out the Moose. So the one-out walk to Votto, no damage done. Cleveland maintains the one-run edge after one full.
For both of these teams, you zero in on the strikeouts per 9 innings out of the starters. Take a look at that. Top 2 at better than 12 per game. Full foul. Sonny Gray had a strikeout in the first inning. He also allowed a solo home run to Francisco Lindor. Sonny has 21 strikeouts against 3 walks in his first 2 starts in 1 inning. Johnson trying to break through Indians outfield that has been a gigantic jigsaw puzzle really over the last number of years. Originally signed and drafted by the Nationals, now with the Indians, and now in the big leagues. Came over in the Yan Gomes deal. Breaking ball low and away. 2 balls and a strike. Johnson has only appeared in 4 games so far this year. 8 at-bats has, 1 base hit. You know, you look at the Indians last year, and on so many levels for a team that failed to reach the playoffs, and it gives you an idea about the top-tier teams in the American League. This ball in the air, driven to deep center field, and Shogo will have room. It is much cooler tonight than it has been for any game we have played the early part of this season at Great American Ballpark. Significantly cooler.
Yeah, and it's having a major effect on how far the balls are flying, too.
The Indians a year ago won 93 games. Of course, the problem inside the Central was that Minnesota won over 100 games. Indians have had 3 consecutive seasons of 90 or more wins. They've gone 7 straight years with winning seasons. But a lot of people wonder if that, proverbial window that a lot of people felt like opened around 2015. They lost in that heartbreaking World Series in 2016, 7 games to the Chicago Cubs. But they have watched so many great players walk out the door. Flare into center field off the end of the bat, a base hit by Oscar Mercado. He's a 1-out base runner.
Well, end of the bat right here. The one thing the Indians are doing, they are swinging the bats. They're not up there taking a lot of pitches from Sonny Gray. He's a strike thrower anyway. But nobody wants Gray's breaking pitch. And what he normally does, most pitchers that have good breaking pitches, they save it as the put-away pitch. So if you swing early in the count, chances are you're going to get more fastballs.
First season with the Indians, Sandy Leon spent the last number of years in Boston, played in Venezuela, and looks at ball 1. Well, you circle back to the Indians and winning 93 last year. They used 54 players on their roster over the course of the year, the highest roster turnover in a single season for Cleveland since 2002. Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, Mike Clevenger. In 2018, they combined for 95 starts. 95. Last year, that trio combined for 40 starts, and yet they still won 93 games. Oh, by the way, they also shipped off Trevor Bauer midway through the year. That's pretty impressive. Hear that banging down there. The grounds crew, apparently, they have been given a number of instruments down there of some kind. I don't know if one of the players bought those for them. We can't go down there and talk to those guys anymore at all. Jim Day tried to go down there and visit with them during one game, and that ball going to get away on a throw to Votto. And advancing into scoring position is Mercado. We'll see who gets the air on this. Tough to tell from up here.
Mercado had 15 stolen bases last year, and the running game is part of the Indians. It's one team, maybe the only one team left in baseball, one of a few that still have some guys that run, and they do like to run them a little bit. Maybe that's why Gray was throwing over there.
Now a pitch in the dirt, and the runner will advance on to third. So an error on a pickoff attempt. Now a wild pitch, and just like that, 90 feet away from a second run.
Yeah, this one changes the at-bat entirely for Sandy Leon. Barnhart does everything right. The ball just bounces off the left side of his chest protector.
Reds will bring their infield in a 1-0 game with a runner at third and one out. 2-1 pitch. Fastball missed off the inside corner. For tonight, in those 12 2/3, Sonny Gray had allowed just one earned run. 3-1 pitch. And he has walked Leon to get to Greg Allen, the number 9 hitter. Tucker Barnhart out for a short visit with Sonny Gray. Big shift put on the light hitting Allen, who's hitless in his first 6 at-bats this season. He does run well, would be a tough man to double up. Shows bunt and looks at a breaking ball strike.
Yeah, I was about to mention that he has the second most number of attempted sacrifice bunts since the start of 1918 in all of Major League Baseball. So he's an accomplished bunter, can bunt for a base hit, also bunt to stay out of a double play and drive a run in.
Check swing, did he go? No, on the appeal down to the third base umpire and crew chief Jerry Meals. Took a fastball right down the middle.
Well, he's got himself into account right here. That may be the fastball for last fastball for a strike that he sees here from Gray. On a normal game, when Gray is on his game, this is a slider down the dirt, and it goes for strike 3.
It was a slider.
Or slurve or curveball. I mean, you know, when it comes to trying to describe the breaking pitches of Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray, I mean, all you got to do is say breaking ball, because they're so good and their spin rate is so high that I'm not sure there's a good adjective for them.
2-2. Struck him out swinging on a fastball, and that's a huge second out here in the second inning.
Well, when you get down to the bottom of the Indians' order, these guys are mainly in the lineup because they're very good defensive players. Allen is an excellent defender, one of the better center fielders around, but there's a reason he's batting 9th, and he comes up empty right there at a good time for Sonny Gray.
I'm just stunned that Allen did not bunt in that bat, and I don't mean bunt to move the guy to second base. The Reds had the big shift on him. That left side was wide open, and they're going to get the run home anyway. A second wild pitch in the inning. So Mercado reaches on a little flare into center field off the end of the bat, goes to second on a error on a pickoff attempt to third on a wild pitch, home on a wild pitch.
This was really a wild one right there. I mean, look how far Barnhart had to go to get over there and just couldn't get all the way down. Left a little bit of daylight between his legs, and that ball shot right through there.
Indians must feel as though they have hit the lottery here tonight.
You know, this kind of reminds me of what Trevor Bauer went through the first few innings of yesterday's ball game. He didn't really have it all locked in, even by his own words. He says he wasn't locked in at all. Sonny Gray normally much better control and command with that breaking pitch. We haven't seen it yet. Got to be stubborn with your stuff.
2-0 now to Cesar Hernandez. And it goes to 3 balls and no strikes. Well, logic would dictate this is a guy, even with a 3-1 count, that you got to try and go after, because they're 2 best offensive players are the next 2 in the batting order. With Jose Ramirez on deck and then Lindor, who's already homered. 3-1 to Cesar Hernandez, runner in scoring position. Right on the outside corner. 3-2. Votto will handle that roller. That flattened out, hitting the edge of the grass and the dirt. Joey stayed with it. 2-0 after an inning and a half. The Indians in front.
Welcome back to the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. With the Hall of Famer himself, John Smoltz, and JP Morosi on location in Cincinnati. I'm Steven Nelson. It looks like a nice night. With the lights. After the weather rolled through and rolled by Great American Ballpark. The Ohio Cup getting going here on MLB Network. So Cleveland has spotted Zach Plesac a 2-0 lead. Here's Eugenio Suarez to get Cincy going in the second.
Of course, Suarez coming off a monster year, so it's going to be almost impossible to duplicate even the pro-rated 60 games.
49 home runs a year ago, still looking for number 1 in 2020.
19 of those with 2 strikes, which was totally impressive. You're going to hit a lot of home runs. You're going to have your share of them with 2 strikes, I'm sure.
Some paint from Plesac, 1 and 2. Just 3 for 32 so far this season. Really slow out the gate. David Bell and the Red staff, they've been looking at the quality of his at-bats more so than the results. Checks up there.
He also hit the most home runs off of right-handers last season, so 27 of those. So he's comfortable. He stands in that tall position, relax, and then watch him get down in it.
Plesac brings him up. Suarez does not agree with the phone call. The strike 3 call. There's 1 down in the second.
Yeah, 2 of those were unhittable pitches, so good for Zach and delivering them. There's not many hitters that are going to be able to hit a high breaking ball on the outside part of the zone. Cutter.
It looked like that as he was bringing the ball back, it hit his pants.
I mean, that's how short the arm action is. It may have at times. It may do that.
I'm surprised he held on to that baseball.
See, that's the pitch. That's the upgrade. He had a nice year last year, but that upgrade of that changeup just takes all the pressure off the fastball. And now you start getting hitters to swing at pitches that aren't typically a strike, but appear like they're going to be a strike out of your hand.
Strike 2, Winker. I mean, that part of the zone. Zach Plesac is getting the calls here.
And you stay with it. And you're always aside. I don't care what anyone tells me. I don't care what science tells me. Umpires are human. And there's a side they're better at of the plate than the other side. Now, if you want to go back to the old days and put that huge chest protector in front of you and sit right over the catcher, then you might have an argument to say, okay, I can see both sides. But it's just human nature to think, look, they're set up on one side. They're going to get an extra inch or two on one of those sides. Find out what that is as a pitcher. And if it's in your sweet spot, you're smiling all game.
Yeah.
You know, I know our staff always got, and I got lumped into it, by the way. Glavine and Maddox getting 3 inches off, and so did Smoltz. Whoa about that. But they were so good at hitting their spots. What do you think happens?
Yeah.
You just put pressure.
Jesse Winker.
Speaking of pressure, there was a lot of pressure on that bat, and it went down.
That one, the bat lost.
Yeah. That's that changeup he started him with. He had fastballs on the inner part of the plate, went right back to the changeup for the strikeout pitch. But you know what I'm saying? If you can hit your spots 90% of the time, you're going to put a lot of pressure on an umpire, and the presentation of that ball is going to seem a little bit better than what the technology has today that tells us whether or not it touched the line or not.
So what I'm taking away from that, Smoltz, is that
go with it. Go with it.
So 3 consecutive strikeouts for Zach Plesac, coming off an 11K performance against the White Sox. Now 2 away, and in digs Freddie Galvis. He's reached base safely in 7 of his last 8 games. We say hello again to our friend JP Morosi.
Stephen, one really unique feature of baseball this year has been the regional assigning of umpiring crews. The Cleveland Indians have the same exact crew here that they had in Minneapolis, whereas the Reds had the same crew for the first 3 series of the season. It's all about the adjustments that we're making here, operating in the midst of the pandemic.
Thank you, JP. Yes, it's been a unique, weird year for everybody in the game of baseball. Grounder into the ship. Basically in right field, that's a base hit for Freddie Galvis with 2 outs in the second. Crew for the series is no look at Galvis is not. Ed Hickox behind home plate. Jordan Baker at first. Jeremy Rehack at second. Jerry Meals at third.
That's the first question I'd ask catcher every night. What side of the plate? What do you think? Where can we steal an inch? Based on where you're setting up. And if you set up too far and it's costing us an inch or two, then I need you to set up differently.
Hold on, did you get confirmation from umpiring crews that you were getting lumped in? And...
No, I'm talking about general public.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz used to get 6 inches off the plate. No. Maybe 2. They were out control pitchers, way better than I was. I was more wild. Early on, I was more wild.
Roll number over to first base. Santana calmly step on first, and that's going to do it for the second. Francisco Lindor coming back up again, trying to replicate his success from the first inning. A solo shot to get Cleveland going. It's 2-0 through 2 full. Coming up right after this ball game, catch Bellinger and the Dodgers. They roll down I-5, or the 5 as we call it in California, to face Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres. Monday Night Baseball presented by Boost Mobile, coming up next on MLB Network. You notice that in California, there's the 405, the 5. Everywhere else it's 90 or just the 9, whatever the number is. Growing up in California, that's all I knew. But coming out here, it's like, it's a totally different language, the highways and interstates. You know, JP Morosi's been hitting those up on his treks through the Midwest and around all these ballparks. He's on site for our showcase game tonight in Cincinnati. Don Smoltz and myself, Steve Nelson, calling the action along with him. Top of the third, Jose Ramirez. Flew out to left. Rolled over down the line. Great covering first, 1 away.
You know why that's a good first baseman? Because when the pitcher runs over there, you throw him the ball. Because you know how many times you run over there and he's waving you off. And
well, tell us how many times, Smolty. You're getting something off your chest right now.
No, you just have those little conversations like, okay, look, I'm running this way.
Yeah.
Just toss me the ball. Because he could have taken it himself, but then, you know, pitcher goes over there, you work on those plays.
Like, what am I doing PFP for if you're not going to feed me the baseball? Francisco Lindor, his 3rd home run of the year in the 1st. And he hit it well. Oh, my goodness. And in case you're wondering, you're into this kind of thing, he didn't pull it. 81 pulled home runs after the last 3+ seasons. He knew that. Just like he knew the first inning ball was gone, he knew that was strike 3.
Well, what was classic about that, he slowed him down with curveballs on both sides of the plate and then went right back to the spot, this time with a sinker instead of a cutter. So a sinker gives the illusion that it's a ball, and it comes back over the place where he hit the homer. But the difference was the homer he hit was coming into him. So it was a 4-seamer / cutter. That spin allowed him to stay on the ball and lift it up into the seats for a home run, where that one looked like a ball the entire time till it hit the glove.
Sonny Gray struck out 11 Cubs last Wednesday. He has 6 of them looking. Did not strike out Carlos Santana in the first, gave up a base hit. And if you think about Lindor's home run and Santana's single, strike 1.
See, I think the evolution of a pitcher is if you only have a 4-seamer in today's style of game, you're going to have a little bit more of a disadvantage than if you have 2 fastballs. A fastball and a sinker gives 2 different illusions and 2 different results, and you can work off that. But if you're a 4-seam fastball only guy, then you're on one plane, and the way the hitters are and how strong they are, they're going to be able to catch up to it eventually.
1-2 from Gray. Swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts to end the 3rd. 4 on the game for Sonny Gray, but he and the Reds trail by 2. They're due up next. Watch Play Ball every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to see the Chevy Play Ball reporter. That's how you start off your weekend. Thanks, Denzel. That was adorable. With Hall of Famer John Smoltz and JP Morosi at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. I'm Steven Nelson. This is the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. We had to wait a little bit, a couple hours. Thanks, weather. But we're finally playing baseball. It's the Ohio Cup. I love the Cincinnati grounds crew. No fans in the stands. Like, we got you, Reds fans. We're making noise. Trying to inspire a little rally here to get out of this 2-0 hole. Tucker Barnhart, catcher, number 9 hitter. He's the first batter we're seeing here in the 3rd inning. Sacks 0-2. Yeah, the Ohio Cup. It's a thing. I'm not making it up, folks. That's actually kind of nice. Again, John Smoltz, he's from Michigan. Could not care less. I'm kidding. Ooh.
I'll tell you what. Ooh. Leon maybe came up out of his crouch a little too soon. This was a strike according to the graph, and he was ready to throw it around the horn. Even though they don't do that. They're not supposed to do that very often, right? Throw it around, just give it back to the pitcher. Habits are hard to break.
Plesac will bounce back and say, that's going to be a strike. 4th strikeout.
Plesac's thinking they're throwing it around, so he walked around. And Sandy Leon is just waiting for him to get back on the mound as that high fastball out of the zone.
Well, think about it. For you guys pitchers, that's your moment.
That is. Well, some guys walk towards the 3rd baseman as they end up getting the ball back from him. Yeah. You know?
You don't have bat flips. You have mound walks after strikeouts.
Mound struts.
Yeah, mound struts.
Yeah.
turn things over for Shogo Akiyama. Grounded out to second in the first inning. Signing that deal with Cincinnati, Reds fans get used to seeing him in the lineup. I don't want to jinx him. Did not miss a game playing in MPB over in Japan. Most durable, consistent hitters. Part of the very busy offseason for Cincinnati, as they recognize the window to win is very much open.
And his style of hitting is going to fare well here. I think he's going to run into a lot of home runs in this ballpark. I mean, more than you would typically think. And he stays on the ball and makes contact more than he'll strike out. And so that top of the lineup, getting on base for the sluggers, will be huge. It's a mindset, and you check your ego when you're deciding that you're going to get on base and make it tough for the pitchers and not swing and miss a lot.
And he's a perfect fit for the top of the lineup. For the reasons, as you mentioned, Akiyama leans into one. Skied into center field. Mercado is there. Can of corn for him. And so much has happened in 2020. The offseason transaction for Cincinnati, it might as well have been a decade ago. So let's remind you everything that they've done since the start of last year to totally revamp this roster. They put in the work.
They did. It surprised a lot of people because some of the acquisitions, you're scratching your head going, okay, I like the player, but where's he going to play? And what's that going to do for the defense? And wait a minute, they got too many at that spot. But they were ahead of the game, maybe anticipating what was coming down the pipe, not this year, but maybe next year, and that was the DH, the talk of the universal DH. So their moves panned out quicker because of the DH in the National League. They can utilize their whole roster now. So a little bit of insight, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of a...
You're 100% right, though, because they signed Akiyama, like, in Castellanos. Wait a second, they already have like 17 outfielders. You can never have too many good ball players.
Yeah, and then Moustakas was the one that surprised me the most, because then you're going, okay, now what?
Right. Thought maybe a spot had opened up for Senzel to come back in from the outfield. Came up as a natural infielder, number 2 overall pick. It seemed like a seamless fit, but
then the monster rookie year last year with Keenan.
Yeah, right. Took the baseball world by storm.
And he's not even on the roster right now.
Yeah, he was sent down option today because Joey Votto up now. Was activated off the COVID-19 injury list at the warning track in left. He flies out. So a quick 1-2-3 third for Zach Plesac, preserving the edge for Cleveland. Let's go back to the studio. Another Chevrolet studio update with Franchise. Welcome back. We have more of the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet from Cincinnati in the Ohio Cup. With Hall of Famer John Smoltz and JP Morosi, I'm Stephen Elson. Get involved, folks. You watching on MLB Network? We're really just watching a baseball game with you. So if you have anything you want to say, I will be your gateway to Hall of Famer John Smoltz.
You'll be the buffer?
I'll be the buffer. I'll filter the Twitter questions since you're not on it, Smoltzy.
Perfect. Let's think of a Twitter question. I'm going to think of a Twitter question that they can ask you to ask me.
Okay. That seems to... I'll roll with you. Let's try it out.
Like one, we wanted to know a question about
the rotations.
Well, earlier this week, we asked the Twitter world through Scott Braun whether or not a dome would be better in Colorado than the rarefied air that exists right now. And we got our scientists to give their answers, so it's kind of neat. So I'm going to think of something here.
Okay.
In this game, to ask you to ask them, for you to answer. For them to answer.
Whew, that was filthy. 1-2 on Reyes. I have one from the people.
Okay. Already?
Yeah, on a scale from 1 to 10, John Smoltz, how much do you hate baseball?
Ha! Isn't that funny?
Oh, man. Strike 3 from Sonny Gray.
Well, this ain't funny to hitters. I can tell you right now. This movement on this fastball, and his combination of pitches. We said he has 5 of them. So as a hitter, you cannot eliminate anything against Sonny Gray. That's what makes him so tough. And now that he's throwing more strikes, it makes it even more difficult for hitters to go up there and figure out what's coming.
So Smoltz, in terms of questions, of course, I do want people to tweet at me, Stephen Nelson, and I'll read you their questions. But we did ask one, the T-Mobile ticket to the game. Which rotation, which pitching staff would you rather have out of these two dynamic ones, Cincinnati or Cleveland? And explain why. Don't just pick your favorite team or pick one of the teams. Tell us why so we can chew on it a little bit. You got a Hall of Fame pitcher here. Let's talk about things. Daniel Johnson behind 0-2. Came over to Cleveland in fall of 2018, a deal that sent Yan Gomes to D.C. Oh, Sonny Gray, will you stop it? That's gross. Another strikeout.
Hard breaking ball. He throws his curveball, overhand curveball, firm. You see the grip, and he comes straight over the top and has that straight downward tilt. And I know you're sitting at home going, well, why are guys swinging at this so far in the dirt? Well, when it's coming out of his hand, it's not. And so when you got to be ready for 94, 95, if he threw 84, 85, it would be a different story. And the combination of his pitches just work off of each other. I told you the height of his pitch is so important that when a hitter sees that height, he's going after that fastball, and then it disappears with a breaking ball.
Let's see what sort of encore Oscar Mercado has for his second inning adventure. So he hits a 1-out single, moves up to second on an error from Votto, moves to third on a pitch that got away from Barnhart, and then scored. So let's take you back. He doesn't need help moving along bases, mind you.
But he was ready for each one of them. That's the key. Be on your toes, anticipate, and react.
Now he's going to try and start a 2-out rally, or simply just snapped his streak of strikeouts. Sonny Gray has punched 4 consecutive tickets. Lindor, Santana to end the third, Reyes and Johnson to start the fourth. 2-2. I mean, is that just when you see that montage and things spinning away there from Gray and Barnhart, do you read into, oh, this isn't Kirk Casale, his former college catcher who knows him better than anybody? We'll talk about that the next time Sonny Gray's back out to the mound. He's sent down 5 in a row via the strikeout, keeping it close for the Reds to strike. They're down 2. We're back. It's the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. Zach Plesac put in a ton of work this offseason. After a really solid debut in 2019 coming up to the big club, revamped his mechanics and already has a great opener under his belt this year and has started this one well.
What I love about what I've seen already tonight, just obviously his first game, he doesn't and he shouldn't have to grunt or overthrow. I mean, it's smooth, it's coming out. It doesn't have to be 97. But if it's on 1/3 of the plate, if he's taken out 2/3 of the plate, man, oh man, good luck hitters if he continues to paint in that area. See, that's a veteran pitch. That pitch right there, a lot of young guys are learning to make. But the ability to make to where all the hitter can do is, it's a bad thing if he swings at it. That was a great pitch.
Another 1-2. Comes in, Castellanos fights it back.
See, the general rules of pitching usually are, if you get a hitter leaning out over the plate because he's following your pitches out there, then you can bust him in. if he's pulling off a pitch. There's all different tricks you're looking to see and expose. The information is unbelievable today, so they're going to give every bit of information they need to know to answer, you know, how to combat what the pitcher's doing or what the hitter's at the plate capable of doing.
Loses that one. Now we're level 2-2.
So then it comes down to execution. When it comes down to execution, the more times obviously you're mechanically sound, you're gonna have success in this game. Because 3-2 doesn't mean anything anymore. 3-2, no one's changing their swings. The guys that do change their swings, meaning or approach, they're going to walk. The other guys are still trying to hit a homer or walk or strike out.
3 true outcomes. We are in that era. A 2-2. Round back again by Castellanos. Ohio State's baseball.
So last year's StatCast, powered by Google Cloud, you can see the variance of his pitches right in the breakdown. 4-seam slider, changeup, curveball. 37, 32, 18, and 11% respectively. But the impressive thing is it's all coming out of the same slot.
Ooh. Into the kitchen of Castellanos, who ducks out of the way, and now we're full.
So remember that pitch he took off the plate for a slider? All right, now would be the time of the 3-2 pitch to go back to that pitch. He just busted him up and in. He was trying to bury a fastball in, but it got away from him. Now he goes right back to that outer part of the plate with a breaking ball, and I would think it'd be hard for Castellanos to stay off of it if he throws it in the same spot.
Right down Broadway. Castellanos hit well. Left center field. It's gone. Stay hot, Castellanos. It's a 2-1 ball game.
That's why I thought breaking ball would have been the pitch. Castellanos, one of the best fastball hitters in the game, and especially after getting dusted up and in, right? He's got a little chip on his shoulder saying right now about that fastball that just deposited the seats. That was Broadway right down the middle. You'll learn as a pitcher, and the more you're getting reps, you start learning which hitters never get off a fastball and which hitters are looking to adjust based on the count. But the beauty of that, if there's an upside, it was just a solo home run.
So he's registered a hit now in 10 games to start a season. You see where he fell in the Cincinnati record books. Barry Larkin, 12 straight to start 1995. He went on to win MVP. And you heard J.P. Morosi say earlier in our broadcast, relaying a message from David Bell. Nick Castellanos, that is the type of player he wants to be. Most valuable player in the league.
So Moustakas, in the swing plane that he has, he will struggle with changeups. He's definitely looking to pull and launch the fastball.
Castellanos.
Don't know if that's his new signature or if that was something to do with get that fastball out of here. Or up near my head out of here.
And when you're Castellanos, that's your 5th home run in the last 6 games. You're the National League Player of the Week. Yeah, he just came up and in. And he hit that a long way. Checking a lot of boxes, for me anyway, to do whatever you want. I didn't play that.
That last pitch could have been a strike, but wasn't caught correctly.
We're full to Moustakas. Sticks the bat out. Skied into left field. Allen's there. There's Castellanos. He's high. locked in on Eugenio Suarez, who unfortunately has been anything but locked in at the plate to start this year. Struck out in the second. First pitch swinging. Not what he wanted. Castellanos now has 8 extra base hits. That is tied with Aaron Judge, the MLB lead. Those two players of the week in their respective leagues.
All right, I'll ask you.
Hit me.
It's a question that a lot of people might look at before the season starts. At 60 games, do you think Stanton and Judge will hit a total of 55 home runs?
Okay, so I'm glad you said that as the 0-1 misses. So opening day, you were on MLB Central, and I was reporting in D.C., and we did the bowl prediction segment. And I agreed with you. We didn't talk about it. You said Trey Turner, NL MVP. That was my National League prediction. My American League was revenge tour for Giancarlo Stanton. I said 30 home runs in 60 games. And then later in the day, on MLB Tonight, I said you can apply that same thought process to Aaron Judge. So yeah, I buy that.
It's going to be interesting to watch.
We get to watch more live baseball together on MLB Network. It's the Showcase Game presented by Chevrolet, and it just got closer. 2-1 Cleveland after 4.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion. Thank you, DJ Khaled. Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one. Is this good? Put in that word, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Sandy Leon walked in the second. Leads off here in the 5th. If you're just tuning in, it's 2-1 Cleveland in our MLB Network Showcase, presented by Chevrolet. And Sonny Gray has struck out the last 5 Cleveland batters. Ties a career high, strike away from setting a new one.
You can tell he feels it. He's got a little pep in his step, and he's commanding his breaking ball at will, and that's what you want to have, and that's what makes him so tough.
He just got a piece of it. The MLB Network Showcase is presented by Audi and sponsored in part by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app and play free with your first deposit for huge cash prizes daily. And by Chase. Make more of what's yours.
It's funny when certain pitchers are going good, they couldn't tell you how many strikeouts they had in the game. Some pitchers know exactly every single moment that they got 5 in a row and they're going for their 6th. It's interesting to see how the personalities go about it in different ways. And then there's some, they get too excited when they get a chance for a strikeout, and it causes them to not put a guy away in a position they want. So it's all about managing your thought process when you're on the mound and in rhythm.
Gray's ready. This is up again. Fills things up. And I talked to Sonny Gray last week, and he point blank said, I'm learning how to strike guys out a little bit more, a little bit better. Up in the zone to Leon. To pull the hands in, skies out to right.
Sonny Gray. StatCast will, powered by Google Cloud, will tell us all the different pitches that he's able to strike out those last 5 guys in particular. And look, that line moves for a reason because every pitch he throws moves. And It is unbelievable to watch when he's on. He's not a big guy, but he pitches big. There's a difference. He's over the top, and he makes it hard for the hitter to recognize. He's got a fairly large stride, too, when he's coming to home plate. Like some taller guys have a shorter stride, so they don't pitch as tall, if that makes sense. And then there's some shorter guys that have a longer stride, and they get the ball to the plate. You hear the word perceived velocity, and that's what it means to a hitter. He perceives the velocity greater than what it actually is because of the way the ball pops out of a guy's hand.
So the fly out ends the streak of strikeouts at 5. Since coming to Cincinnati, only 5 pitchers have a better ERA than Sonny Gray. There's the stride, Smoltz.
See, I mean, that gets out there a fairly decent amount for not being super tall. Couple hitters just in this inning forcing a couple of those breaking balls. You could tell when he got 0-2 to Leon, he really wanted to put him away and put him away quickly, and he worked the count to 3-2. In that situation, that you end up wasting 3 pitches. He ultimately got him out on a fly out. Another 3-2 count here.
So he pays it off to Allen with another strikeout. Let's get back to the studio for a Chevrolet update with Fran Charles.
All right, Stephen, for the Chevrolet studio update, we go to San Diego. First pitch of the game from Chris Paddock, and Jock Peterson says hello. It's his first home run of the year. And Trent Grisham added his 4th home run of the year in the bottom half of the first. And Dodgers and Padres tied up at 1 early on. As we send it back to Nelly, Smoltzy, and JP Morosi, guys.
Thank you, franchise. Quickly, Sonny Gray wants to get out of the 5th. He does. The Reds still trail 2-1. Galvis, Cologne, and Barnhart coming your way on the other side of this break. It's Plesac versus Galvis. Start the bottom of the 5th inning. Galvis singled his first time up. Galvis, a quality waiver acquisition for Cincinnati from Toronto last August. Brings it to 2-0. This time cannot beat the shift. Put it in the same place. MLB.TV brings you every out-of-market game of the 2020 season live, or, if you like, on demand. Stream games, highlights, and recaps online in HD on your favorite devices at MLB.TV for maintenance. And introducing Quick Pick, MLB Rally's new predictive game that offers fans the chance to pick outcomes and compete for cash. Make your predictions count by playing Quick Pick. No purchase is necessary. You can check out the official rules and enter to play. MLB.com/QuickPick. Sitting next to the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, I'm Stephen Elson. JP Morosi's on site in Cincinnati for this latest MLB Network Showcase. Grounder over to Ramirez at 3rd. He has time to gather and fire across. Shouts to the Showcase crew. I mean, it seems like every day there's a game broadcast going on. And all baseball fans watching on the network appreciate every opportunity to watch a live baseball game.
It's been an amazing set of people adapting. You know, I mean, it's going to be a constant. We're almost, well, we are 1/6 of the way through for some of these teams. Wow. Weird. Trade deadlines tomorrow. No, it's
4 weeks from today,
basically.
today.
But yeah, it just, as this evolves and as the season hopefully continues to play on without any more bumps or hurdles, it'll be fascinating to watch those last 2 weeks of the season.
Both these teams figure to be a part of the equation in their respective leagues. Both on the backs of sensational staffs. So Sonny Gray in the dugout.
But just to give it perspective, I mean, when you're making the second start of your year, it's not anything other than it's the start of a journey. You want to win every start, but you're not treating it like a playoff game. You really can't afford to over 162, but in a 60-game sprint, it's more like a playoff game. You are more in tune with how important that particular start is, given the fact that there's only 60 games.
60-game sprint and survival. 1-2 coming to Tucker Barnhart. He goes fishing, catches nothing but air. Another punchy for Plesac. 2-1, Cleveland leads. Your ticket to the game is presented by T-Mobile, America's most reliable 5G coverage. Earlier we asked, which pitching staff would you rather have? Cleveland's or Cincinnati's? Here are the results. 56% of you watching on MLB Network chiming in on Twitter. And Cleveland. John Smoltz, what say you, the Hall of Famer?
That's a tough call. It really is. Your top three are both top three right-handers that can go against anybody and miss bats. And, the slight advantage might go to the Indians because their depth is a little bit better. But if you're just talking top three, it's splitting hairs. When you think about what Gray can do, Plesac, Beaver, Clevenger, Carrasco, and even
Savali.
Yeah, he's been nice. But I think when Bauer and Castillo and Gray, I mean, you're talking about the formula for shutting bats down when they get hot by missing them. And that's a bigger part for Cincinnati's success because the park they play in versus where the Indians play. So taking that into context, I mean, Indians ballpark is a little bit bigger than where Cincinnati plays.
That's a tough one. I think if you do value depth, then you are going to pick Cleveland. The way the aces are going for both staffs. Scott to the left side by Ramirez. Easy catch. Gray for Cincinnati. Beaver for Cleveland. How do the numbers bear out? Well, so far, it's early. But you're giving the edge overall. Entire body of work to Cleveland. I mean,
and what makes Cleveland tough is in this shorter season, you're going to rely heavily on your starters, and why not? It's not going to have that big of a load on them. I think anybody that kind of goes away from that brings in a mixture of asking 4 or 5 extra relievers each game to be on their game, right? What I like about what Cleveland's always been able to do, even though they may not have the thumpers in the lineup, like New York can throw out. Sure. They have the equalizer on the mound. And we all know you can get to the postseason one way, but that doesn't mean you're going to win that one way.
Right.
And hitting homers is going to get you to the postseason. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win that tournament when you get there. So,
yeah, or on the other side, look at what St. Louis last year, running a special second half behind the rotation. Jack Flaherty, the tip of that sword. Then you get to the NLCS against the Washington Nationals and that three-headed monster, and they couldn't do anything. So you could not just fall back on your pitching rotation. So let's turn this up. Piggybacking off that T-Mobile ticket to the game, the staffs overall, Miles Markovitz tweeting at me on Twitter. What else would you be doing on Twitter? Of course, you're tweeting Smoltz, who has a better career, Bieber or Luis Castillo? Oh, have fun answering that. Lindor with a knock into left field.
Well, Bieber's going to have a longer career because you could sing a lot longer than you could play baseball. You know what I'm saying? Is that what the question was about?
That is not where I thought you were going, John Smoltz.
Oh, you're talking about the pitcher, Bieber.
Do you? Because that leads me to believe you do have a favorite Justin Bieber jam.
I don't have any favorite jams.
Okay, because you knew I was going to ask you to sing said jam. Smart, John Smoltz. You're so smart. There is Castillo.
That is another great question. I mean, Castillo, man, you're talking about weapons that are a little bit different for each pitcher. And
curveball versus changeup, right?
Yeah.
Bieber's curve.
Yeah.
Castillo's changeup. JP Morosi, you want to chime in?
I could think about this topic for 10,000 hours, Stephen. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Showing my pop culture fluency. At any rate, getting back to the actual question at hand, you all go back to the 2016 draft for the Cleveland Indians. You have to credit Brad Grant what they did as a scouting department to get 3 starters in one draft. Savali in the 3rd round, Bieber in the 4th, Zach Plesac in the 12th. Plesac at that point in time had Tommy John surgery at Ball State that year. That is great scouting to stay with a phenomenal athlete that you were going to believe in his ability to come back. Really impressive work, and as John Smoltz knows, from Waverly High School, the great Kenny Badea signing John out of Lansing Waverly, it's all about cold weather scouting. Savali from Northeastern, and of course Zach Plesac from Indiana. That's where the scouts make their money.
I'm just still stuck on JP dropping a Bieber, Dan, and Shea 10,000 hours reference. I know JP's got 3 little ones at home, so they're probably just jamming all day. Throw down to second. In time.
That was a great job by Tucker Barnhart. I mean, he came out. Watch how quickly he comes out of this pickup and fires a spot right to the Galvis, who puts on the tag. Almost looked like Javier Baez type tag, right?
Good friends, of course.
I mean, that pickup on the short hop.
He tried to
swim move.
Yeah. Watch that hand, Frankie. We need you to stay healthy. Baseball does. Barnhart, former Gold Glove winner. I mean, his pick too, because that wasn't a fastball right into the mitt.
No, that was outstanding job.
So the threat removed from the base paths. 2 away for Santana. Santana broke out of an 0 for 12 skid with a first inning single. And going back to that first, Lindor homering, Santana following that with a single. It's the first time Cleveland had consecutive hits since the 6th inning of last Thursday's game. Think about that. They're playing baseball, right? 9 innings. Team didn't have back-to-back hits between Thursday and Monday. Let's go back to Barnhart.
You know, he's had a couple already tough ones. See how that ball bounced in front of home plate. I mean, that is, I don't know if he's going to tell you out of 10 of those, he's going to pick up 5 of those. But the
Sonny Gray spin.
Right. But the one he just picked up right there might go a long way in this game by throwing him out at second base.
The 3-2 to Santana. Climbs the ladder, misses the zone. And what do you know? Santana draws a walk. More walks than strikeouts. That's part of his game. So 2-out base runner for Cleveland. And the DH Franmil Reyes will come up. Tuesday night baseball. Cleveland at Cincinnati. It's the Ohio Cup. Presented by Boost Mobile. 6 p.m. Eastern here on MLB Network.
Last couple batters, maybe just a little bit overthrowing. Sonny Gray here in the 6th inning in a tight 2-1 game. Boy, he's been good.
Yeah, getting close to the 100-pitch plateau as well. is Cade Reyes in the first and the fourth. Now, Trumman, we talk about his strength and power. How about his production last year? Debuted with Cleveland the 1st of August and then paced the team with 35 ribbies over the last 2 months of the season. I think when talking about Sonny Gray, Smoltz, you say, how good has he been? He became a bit of a punchline, which was totally unfair with respect to his entire career, Sonny Gray, based on what happened at Yankee Stadium specifically when he was wearing pinstripes. And when I got the chance to talk to him last week, I asked him about growing through those struggles as opposed to just going through them, because they could beat you down and you might not be able to come back from that, especially on a stage like New York City. And he was very poignant and thoughtful with his response. And his advice could be applied to anybody, let alone professional athletes who are struggling. He said the big thing for me looking back was just realizing that instead of trying to do what you think is the right thing all the time, if you are just yourself, that's always going to be good enough. You be your authentic self, the best version of yourself is always going to shine through. He learned a lot.
But it's natural to have expectations leap tenfold when you go from one city that's relatively unknown market-wise to the greatest known market in all of sports. And no one has to say a word to you, or you throw that on your back, whether you realize it or not.
3-2. Grounded to short. Galvis with a pick and throw. Gray gets out of the 6th. Will he be back for the 7th? We'll find out. First, we're going to see if Cincinnati's offense can tie or take the lead in the Ohio Cup. This MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet is coming back.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion. Thank you, DJ Khaled. Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one. Is this good? Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Put in that work, Devin. That seared into my brain now. Thanks, DJ Khaled. Shogo Akiyama, top of the order. Leading off here in the bottom of the 6th, Cincinnati trailing Cleveland 2-1. Riding with John Smoltz and J.P. Morosi, Steven Nelson, part of our MLB Network Showcase squad. Akiyama. Opposite field base hit.
See, that's what's going to make him special. First 2 at-bats, he got a chance to see a guy he hadn't seen all year, and obviously all career. And he was able to make the adjustment and go the other way. Now, if he tries to pull this pitch, it's an out. I believe it was a changeup, and it was just up a little bit. But that's the style of hitting that Cincinnati's going to be really happy with, especially if the big boys behind him get to hit with runners in scoring position.
Akiyama set an NPB record 2015 with 216 hits. Now, they don't play 162 games, 143 game season for them. That's all he did for the Cebu Lions. And he gets aboard for Joey Votto.
His body may move, but his hands stay back, and it keeps the bat in the zone a long time, even though it looks like he's trying to go to first base with his body. Speaking of keeping the bat in the zone, this guy.
How much space between his bottom hand and
it's definitely a unique style of hitting, which he doesn't really give up much power doing it, right? His bat control choking up. Not a lot of guys choke up. As a matter of fact, they have one half hand over the knob, trying to lengthen the bat as much as they can. He's trying to shorten it and square it up.
It's almost like he's trying to hit a knockdown, flight a golf ball a little bit.
And there are times he gets in between. You see those awkward kind of half swings when he's got 2 strikes to try to either foul it off. But there's definite counts like right now If he gets a fastball, he should let it go and try to get an extra base hit, right? That's what people say. Easier said than done, but that's what people say he should do.
Zach does not give him a fastball. Fouls it off 2-1. So after what Plesac did against the White Sox, opened a lot of people's eyes, including yours, John Smoltz, and we're all anxious to see how he follows that up. We're into the 6th inning now. He's thrown 81 pitches, and he's held down the Reds lineup. Your impressions have
He's been awesome. He made one bad pitch. How many times can you say, and it might even just been a selection, you know, I called for the 3-2 slider away. That ended up being a fastball down the middle for a homer, but that's not going to beat you. One bad or two bad decisions usually don't beat you. And usually when you don't give up a run, you get a decision, but he didn't there with the 11 strikeouts and no walks. I think with the work that he's put in and the command he has of the baseball and the athlete that he is, nothing will keep him down even when he goes into a slump. That's the sign of what you think forecasting a young pitcher, when you see the work ethic, mentally, and then physically what he can do.
Akiyama's got to be careful here because Plesac has perhaps the best pickoff move in all of baseball as a right-hander. He was called up on Memorial Day last year, and still, by the end of the 2019 season, he led the league with 6 pickoffs.
Well, that's genetics. You know, Dan Plesac can dance and use his lower half, and I'm sure that's just been passed on.
But Dan is a lefty.
I know, but you could just see DJ Dan can dance.
That's true.
And
no question.
Now he's got a new hip. It's
look out. I mean, if there's a dance floor, DJ Dan's lighting it on fire. Should I FaceTime Dan Plesac live on the showcase? Is that legal?
Does that violate the disseminated thing you got to read?
No, once Zach's out of the game, I know right now he's focused on watching his nephew pitch. And we have a 2-1 ball game and a 2-1 count to Joey Votto.
Well, we talked about it in the open. If you like pitching, this was going to be the game to watch, and it has certainly lived up to its billing. Both pitchers have been on their A game. And they've worked a couple of counts late in the game to 3-2, and now here's the pitch of the night. A 3-1 pitch to Votto, who has great plate awareness and a runner who can run at first.
I did just get a text from DJ Dan Plesac. DJ Dan, a nervous wreck. This is a big spot for him. But Zach Plesac is comfortable in big spots. Even though he's a young pitcher. Veteran hitter, one of the best of his generation, Joey Votto. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
It's a great changeup. That changeup has been there all night. He might have left one of them up in the zone. But now, you know, Votto's trying to have his computer think about what is this kid going to throw 3-2. Gets the foot down, and he doesn't get to that changeup. This is almost an automatic send the runner because you have faith in Votto to put the ball in play, right?
Choked up on the bat. Votto, the 3-2. He gets a bat on it. Plesac hunkers down because Joey Votto just went up and out. A go-ahead 2-run shot, and it's 3-2 Cincinnati.
Joey Votto got activated today, and I told you that choking up the bat does not cause the power outage. He's so quick. Once he gets his foot down, we'll get a chance to see how quickly he gets the barrel of the ball on an inside part of the plate. Look at his foot down, and he absolutely got his hands through, barrel down, launches it up, and the pitcher knows, unfortunately, in this ballpark,
So did Zach Plesac. Spawns by getting Castellanos to foul out to Santana. Joey Votto in the Ohio Cup Series. Giving love to the grounds crew. Welcome back to the lineup, Joey Votto.
I can't speak for everybody, but this might be the year where the grounds crew and the players have a bond that's unbreakable. You normally don't see the grounds crew as players. You just don't.
Look at them. They got the moose antlers up for Mike Moustakas. No, you don't. You're right. Unless there's a rain delay,
no, you just
or you're covering the pregame as they're prepping the field. Moustakas 0 for 2 tonight. Joey Votto's 16th career home run against Cleveland. 57th game. And those 40 driven in as well. And his OPS close to 1,000.
Joey Votto's the type of hitter that I will bet you he remembers almost every pitch that's thrown to him by every single pitcher. He's one of those cerebral, that choose the right word. Because, sometimes I don't choose the right word. Is that the right word?
Well, you nailed it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So, he's a thinking man, a player.
The Renaissance man of baseball.
He is. And just getting a chance in the 30 for 30, getting a chance to talk to him a couple years ago in spring training, I was amazed at some of his recollection of things that I did against him when I was on my way out and he was on his way in, that I didn't think there was any way he would remember. Because I didn't.
Moustakas grounds out. How about this exclusive club? Whoa. Whoa. I mean, John Smoltz, a lot of those dudes are with you in Cooperstown.
Yeah, that's rarefied air when you start reaching those kind of numbers. And again, that's why he's the most talked about, discussed hitter in our generation. Because he can do so many things. People are going to want him to do more things. It's unbelievable. I really believe this. The only knock at times would be that argument of driving the run, make an out versus walk, or an opportunity to drive in 2 or 3 runs versus passing on the baton in hittable counts. That's the only thing. But he's so disciplined. And when you're so disciplined, you don't get yourself out of the strike zone, right? There's some good fat balls to hit that aren't in the strike zone sometimes and get a run drive, but he's locked into what he's comfortable doing, and so it's kind of unfair for.
Right, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Suarez rolls over on the 0-2, grounds out. Joey Votto coming back to the lineup with authority. Didn't have to ask if he did it. You're darn right he did, and Cincinnati has the lead. After Joey Votto muscled up to give Cincinnati the lead in the 7th, or to end the 6th rather, the Reds are going to muscle up by bringing in Michael Lorenzen.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I didn't get there smoothly. It was a struggle bus to the destination, but we made it. First appearance since last Tuesday.
I got to believe he's just a tiny bit bummed out about the new rule of the DH, right? I mean, what a threat the Reds had with his dual ability to hit, throw, run, field.
And now with the thresholds. Strikeout for Lorenzen to start off his outing. Google Cloud is helping to power StatCast with massive amounts of data points to reveal new insights, taking you deeper into the game than ever before. Google Cloud is the official cloud technology of Major League Baseball.
Well, here's where we go. StatCast powered by Google Cloud will show you. He's probably swinging about a 31-inch bat when you look at how far he's choked up. Let's just say it's a 34-inch bat. But that's how quickly he can get around the 37-degree launch. So I'm guessing about 3 inches he's choked up. Gives him back control, allows him to get on the inside pitch quicker, and he's strong enough that you're not going to use or lose that much power.
Joey Votto activated today off the COVID-19 injury list. Never tested positive, but self-reported symptoms. He's trying to be extra cautious and considerate for those around him. Making sure he was 100% before coming back. And he's most definitely back. Second home run in a showcase game for Votto this year. Now Oscar Mercado scored the second run of the game, where he singled in the second. Talk about Lorenzen, the hitter. Career batting average, .235 clip, 7 home runs for him. Unfortunately, his two-way player brethren, Shohei Ohtani, got some unfortunate news today regarding his arm.
Yeah, you could see some of that. You just hope that whatever time he needs to rest that up, he'll be good to go the next time around. I mean, I know I had a couple setbacks coming back from Tommy John. I had tendonitis. I went back to the minors and waited a month and a half. That led me to the bullpen.
Mercado. Canacorn into center field. And we go back to Great American Ballpark to say hello again to J.P. Morosi.
Well, Stephen, when we arrived here this afternoon, Joey Votto was not yet on the active roster. In fact, I wasn't even able to discern if he was in Cincinnati at all because of the COVID-19 travel protocols that exist. But really, this is a case study of how the policy and the approach works. He reported symptoms. He tested negative yesterday, tested negative today, was able to travel back, and then added to the active roster, and then eventually in the batting order. In fact, initially, the first batting order the Reds put out did not include Joey Votto, but this is one case study that shows the policy works. He reported the symptoms, was cleared. Now he's back on the field, and right now, the hero of the Reds' 3-2 lead.
You know, now that I think about it, thank you, JP. He's not the first Red to self-report symptoms. Mike Moustakas, Nick Senzel did the same thing after Matt Davidson was placed on the COVID injury list. In their first game back, they both homered. Joey Votto's first game back, he hits a homer. Total coincidence, well aware, but an odd one. But very on brand for 2020. Foul back and out of play. Joey Votto needs no introduction. But in case you forgot, second round pick for Cincinnati in 2002. And the National League Most Valuable Player Award in 2010. Almost had another one years later. 6 times he's represented the Reds in the Midsummer Classic. And of course, O'Connor. Barnhart pumps his fist as he receives a strike 3 from Michael Lorenzen. 2 in his first frame of work. Cincinnati maintains a 3-2 lead. We're stretching. You know, after giving up a lead in a game, the last thing you want to see is a heartbreak montage. Cleveland, I'm sorry. I'm just going to listen to Randy Newman here. Yeah, this one hurts. 3-1 lead. Let's not talk about it. 2-0 lead. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up. But you know what? Cleveland, you got arguably the best pitching staff in baseball here in 2020. Oh. Well, I'm just reading the full screen now, Cleveland. Don't come at me. 71 season World Series drought. Cincinnati approaching 30. So to finish the positive point, John Smoltz, one of the, oh man, oh Bubba, no. Sigh. The Ohio Cup, listen, Ohio has not, outside Ohio State football, started to bring that up, Smoltzy. not a lot of postseason playoff success at any level.
Cavaliers got.
Yeah, Cleveland, this is for you. Yeah, who could forget that?
No, I know. Honestly, I obviously know what that's like rooting for my own team. And growing up in Detroit, the Lions have never even been to a Super Bowl, so don't know if I'll get a chance to cross that off my bucket list. But nonetheless, it doesn't make you weaker.
It doesn't kill you, makes you stronger? Is that where you're going for? Okay.
It makes you stronger.
Picked you up there, Schmaltz.
No, it is heartbreaking. You think about some of those that we showed. I mean, you just play those things. You're going to win those 9 out of 10. You know, you're going to win those games. It just didn't work out for the Indians. Now, unfortunately, history is something we'll always have to deal with. Till they, like the Boston Red Sox, get rid of that.
Plesac strikes out Galvis looking as he's hit 100 pitches. Back to JP.
Well, one of my favorite lines, as John references our beautiful home state, Stephen, the Detroit Free Press, when Detroit won the bid to host the Super Bowl in Detroit, the great headline in the Free Press the next day, Detroit wins the Super Bowl.
Hope you saved the clippings on this. I'm a Bears fan.
I mean, do you have anything on your bucket list that you'd like to?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl?
Yeah. That's the one professional team that I root for. It's the one championship. Because I wasn't alive in '85.
Oh, okay.
So I can't claim.
So you quantify it.
Yeah. Christian Cologne. Speaking of performing on a championship stage, Cologne did that in 2015 for the Kansas City Royals, excuse me. Hit it well, but right to Allen. A 1-2-3 inning of work for Zach Plesac to the 8th inning in the MLB Network Showcase. Did you? No question. A home run from Lindor, and it's 1-0 try. Right down Broadway, Castellanos hit well, left center field, it's gone! A go-ahead 2-run shot, and it's 3-2 Cincinnati. We're back. It's the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. 3-2 Reds. A couple of home runs for Cincinnati. One from the reigning National League Player of the Week, Nicholas Castellanos, to make it a 2-1 game. And then from the former MVP, Joey Votto. Here's Nate Jones, Smoltzy.
Talk about strong shoulders. This guy's funky. A little opposite of what you're going to see your prototypical pitcher, but he can throw it. Wait till you see this arm action.
Former Chicago White Sox. Stud in the back end of the bullpen. It's his ball for the 8th. Yep. If this is the first time that you're watching Nate Jones, John Smoltz wasn't lying. That is different.
Almost a pause.
Yeah. Cleveland in that first inning came out hot. 2 hits, including a home run from Lindor. Since then, suboptimal. But still down 1. And 6 outs to play with. Bottom of the order here. It's Allen, Hernandez, and Ramirez in the 8th. That hits Allen.
Right on the shin guard.
Yep, no question. He'll take his base. We'll take it to Cincinnati with JP.
Well, Stephen, some difficult news elsewhere in Major League Baseball tonight. Mike Soroka, the ascendant young starter for the Atlanta Braves, out for the season with a torn Achilles tendon injury. That happened just tonight. So the Atlanta Braves trying to win the division again, a much tougher task without one of the great young arms in the sport.
Yeah, that is terrible news to one of the best young pitchers that you'll see that doesn't throw 98. Wow, you know, man, just hate to hear that kind of news on a play that really didn't look like much, that he was trying to go to first base after delivering the ball. And horrible news for the Atlanta Braves. And horrible news for anybody who has to have that happen.
We watched the clip during the weather delay tonight, Smoltzy, and that was the worst fear, and you were just hoping and praying that that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, if you just missed it, JP Morosi passing along the news that Mike Soroka out for the season with a torn Achilles tendon. Suffered tonight in the Braves game. Soroka and Max Fried are the only Braves starters to pitch at least 5 innings this season. He had quickly become the anchor of that staff. Putting baseball aside for a second, that's just heartbreaking. The best of Mike Soroka. Hernandez to Galvis, tries to go behind his head, can't get the out at second. First and second, nobody out in the 8th, with Ramirez and Lindor and Santana due up.
What a nasty hop, and how he even gloved it. This is a double play ball all the way. Watch this hop right there. It hits the cutout, and then at this point, he's at the mercy of the ball. Right there, takes the cutout, and now he's got to be in defense mode. He gloves it, but he has to just try and get lucky to toss it to second base. Really unfortunate hop. That could have been 2. That turns into nothing for the Cincinnati Reds.
Ramirez trying to give first pitch a ride. Instead, he fouls it back 0-1. He's over. So Cleveland fans watching might be saying, you know what, he's due. The way he's been performing this season, going back to the second half of last year. Why not a big knock from Ramirez?
It is rare, and I've seen it a couple times tonight, where the bottom hand is coming off the bat, and the top hand is staying on the bat.
Good work from Barnhart, keeping that in front of him.
I got to add, the last inning that we kind of just take for granted, that was a huge inning for Mr. Plesac. After giving up the 2-run homer and going back out in the 7th inning and getting the 3 outs that he did to give his team a fighting chance, doesn't go unnoticed to former pitchers, I can tell you that.
He is a confident dude, Zach Plesac, that is for sure. And that's the second time tonight you've highlighted his maturity and poise as Ramirez loses the bat and the battle with Nate Jones.
I've seen more bats go flying in one game than you might see in a month, but tells you how nasty that stuff was. By the way, not for anything, I got hit in the shin on a bat like that, and I tried to time the jump. The handle hit me on my right shin, the barrel hit me on my left shin. I missed the top. It was Jack Clark's bat, which was not fun to have you come whip around and hit both your shins.
Yeah, I'll pass on that experience and that one.
That one, yeah.
And hopefully Barnhart's all right, as Lindor fouls the first pitch back into his face. So Reds pitching staff stays punching tickets. A little bit of trouble here in the 8th for Nate Jones. First 2 aboard. Did get Ramirez to strike out. Now it's Francisco Lindor, who homered earlier. Misses at the 0-1, now 0-2.
I told you he was funky. Nate Jones at one point could throw it 100 miles an hour, coming back from his injury, and now with the Reds, he's trying to wiggle out of a jam here that
comes up on Barnhart. Throw down to second. Gets him. Tucker Barnhart again.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Catchers are like goalies, right? Sometimes you can get hot. Sometimes you can get some funky hops. This was unreal. He got the trail runner. He knew where to go. The Indians may want to take a look and see if hits him right in the mask, and he has the ability to get up and throw to second. I'm going to say that he might reverse this call. If he'd have held the tag on him, it would have been a different situation, but it's close. Yeah,
I don't think Hernandez was on the bag when the tag was applied. No, from that vantage point, didn't look like it. This replay review is powered by Mitel, and it's a big one. Top of the 8th, 2 aboard for Cleveland, trailing by 1.
See, he hasn't tagged him yet. He hasn't tagged him yet. He hasn't tagged him yet, and I think he tags him right there. So it's the view that, and if he kept the tag on, it would have been a moot point because he slid past the bag. But that angle isn't going to be as good as maybe another angle they're able to see. Either way, it's got to be obvious to overturn it, because the call on the field was he was out.
If the call stands, it'll be the second time tonight that Tucker Barnhart has had to come up with the ball that bounced in front of him and throw out a base runner at second base.
That one hit him in the mask. That took such a bad hop. It hit him straight in the mask, and he was able to still collect himself and throw to the right base.
Call coming. Confirmed out. Huge. Huge. When we talk about highlights in sports, I mean, and in baseball specifically, home runs, outstanding catches, you're putting those 2 plays by Barnhart in there.
Yeah. He's getting his money's worth tonight behind the plate for sure.
Nate Jones still has to deal with Lindor, with the tying run standing at third. Nobody that Cleveland would rather have up there than Lindor. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Nate Jones with back-to-back strikeouts of Ramirez and Lindor. And the Reds stay on top. The MLB Network Showcase is presented by Chevrolet. Find new roads, and sponsored in part by Mother's High Performance Car Care, formulated for fanatics, and by Fisher Investments, clearly different money management. With the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, I'm Steven Elson, and Smoltzy, this game delivered on what we anticipated. Well pitched, not just the starters, the entire staff.
Yeah, they always don't live up to it, right? The anticipation, but 2 hot pitchers coming in on top of their game. Maybe a couple bad pitches cost each pitcher a run or 2. But, man, I'll tell you what, this is going to go down as if you're a Cleveland fan, every game's going to be close. You're just hoping you could squeeze out some runs. If you're a Cincinnati fan, you're just hoping that your hitters get hot, and it's going to be a fun season the way they're pitching.
Oliver Perez, my salt and pepper brethren. Come into the game. He came into the big leagues when Zach Plesac, Cleveland's starter tonight, was 7 years old. This is career appearance 673. Oli Perez.
He's got all kinds of different angles and all kinds of different deliveries to try to get the job done. And of course, this year, see a little gray in his side wall there of his hair, which can't really talk about. He'll have to get 3 hitters out.
Yeah.
Or face 3 hitters.
Face. He ties Dennis Reyes for the second most appearances all time by a Mexican-born pitcher. And only Joaquim Soria, who's also still active in the bigs. A unique delivery, deceptive, switches it up. Tucker Barnhart. Off the end of the bat, flies out to right center field. Let's take a short timeout here and we'll be back on the MLB Network Showcase.
Want more stats? Hey Siri, who's leading baseball in OPS?
The John Smoltz Studio, I'm Stephen Elson. JP Morosi has been holding down the fort on location at Great American Ballpark. The Reds offense, top of the order, has been stellar. Akiyama, Votto, and Castellanos. Akiyama takes a strike from Perez. And when we talk about Perez's career resume and the number of appearances, he's also done it as a starter. There's 200 career starts in his career. Ooh. A little quick pitch.
Yeah, tried to sneak attack.
He's got one he likes. The 1-1 to Akiyama. Comes up and in. Shogo was the 2017 Pacific League batting champion, the MPB. Strike 2. Led the league in hits for 3 seasons. This is his first season in Cincinnati in Major League Baseball. Looks like a great fit at the top of this order. It's added a bunch of new and exciting pieces. 2-2. Perez strikes out Akiyama. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose. Oh, maybe the nicest human on the planet, Jim Thome.
Jim Thome.
Thome, one of a handful of homegrown Cleveland Indians who starred for them and eventually left in free agency or by trade. It's happened a bunch. Cleveland fans watching, hoping it doesn't happen again with Francisco Lindor, who's out there at short. Homered in the first inning. Joey Votto. He homered his last time up, and that was a big home run, John Smoltz.
It was, and he's right now wishing he could have that last pitch back. Perez left it over the middle with all the different, turns his back against the hitter. Might quick pitch you. Joey had a good cut at that one.
He's behind 0-2. Perez winds, fires, and misses high. Marcelo Iglesias is warming in the Cincinnati pen.
Well, in the 6th inning, starts him off with a changeup, and another changeup he leaves up. 3 in a row, and then the fastball inside to send a message, and then a great changeup right there, but then he comes back inside with the fastball, and it doesn't quite get there.
Votto on the ground to second. Lindor over, retires him. Last chance for Cleveland. The closer coming in for Cincinnati. The end of the showcase is next. It's MLB Central that sets the table with your first live look ahead to all today's baseball action every weekday morning. It's Roflo, D-Row, and Shahadi. MLB Central presented by Hyundai. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network. John Smoltz, Hall of Famer. Let's look at some nice plays.
This guy's been unbelievable. Short hop, that wasn't easy at all, but he's had a night behind the dish where they have beat him up with pitches in the dirt. This one is a huge out. If they hold on to win, you could argue is one of the biggest plays of the night. Would have been second and third, one out, down by one. He'll deserve a good night's sleep tonight. And Mr. Iglesias can make it a little easier for him if he gets the job done. Hard throwing right-handed closer for the Reds.
His first opportunity of the 2020 season. He's 3 for 3 in saves in his career against Cleveland. Ooh, Carlos Santana tried to tie the game up. Fouled it back, strike one. Cleveland has not scored a run in the 9th inning this season. They're going to need one to stay alive in this MLB Network Showcase. The 1-1. That misses inside. Santana hit 37 home runs last year in just under 500 ABs. Again, what a homecoming for him after a campaign in Philadelphia where he inked a free agent contract. Still without a home run on this young season. The 2-1. Chop back to Iglesias. He goes to the line, retrieves, and retires him. Out number one. Let's take a break here on the MLB Network Showcase.
Hi, I'm Hall of Fame catcher Johnny Bench. Now, I may have retired, but I'm definitely still active. That's why for over 10 years, I've used Blue Emu Super Strength Cream so I can still do the things I love and the things I don't.
We're back at Great American Ballpark. John Smoltz and JP Morosi. I'm Steven Nelson. Marcelo Iglesias has Franmil Reyes here in the 9th, trying to lock down a third straight win for the Cincinnati Reds. He's affectionately called the Franimal. Franimal. Franmil, friend. You get the idea. Don't forget, once we're done here, you do have more live baseball on tap on MLB Network. Now the 2-0. Ooh, big swing from Reyes.
He did get into the count. Certainly a breaking ball 2-0 was not Mr. Reyes' friend. He was hoping that he would challenge him and he could tie it up.
Another swing and a miss. Frustration for Reyes. Bottom of the zone, and Barnhart has to hold on to him because that was not strike three.
Drop down fastball that was low in the zone.
Just kidding. There's strike three.
Reds 1 out away from a win. What a great pitch right there. I guarantee you. Reyes was sitting on a breaking ball, and he threw that low 3/4 fastball and just pulled it in the strike zone and got him looking.
Producer of tonight's game, Chris Pfeiffer. Director, Jason Lyle. Michael Trainer, Ryan Sullivan, our tape producers. Chris Bracey, Associate Director. Tim Fryer, Matt Olbaum, graphics producers. As Jet Johnson starts his AB. Our ever-busy edit team, led by Andrew Batty, Jason Seacamp, Patrick Armstrong, and Billy Joel. Senior researcher, editorial gatekeeper, Keith Costasi and Jonathan Barron, Nate Purinton. Strike one to Johnson. Adam Plout, our technical director, and our technical manager is Jason Hedgecock. Again, the tip of our cap to the Showcase crew.
Did you say Billy Joel?
Billy Joel. Believe it or not.
So Bieber and Billy Joel.
Yeah. Huh. It's a thing. Last chance for Cleveland. Iglesias is rolling right now.
Oh, see nasty. I mean, just long arms, filthy pitches.
He struck out Reyes. And he strikes out Johnson. Iglesias slams the door. The Reds win 3-2.
That man right there, big 2-run home run when didn't even know if he was going to play tonight. Now the Reds are glad he did. Another tough luck loss for the Cleveland Indians.
Fourth straight loss for Cleveland. Their longest losing streak of last year was 5 games. On the other side, though, the winning team, Cincinnati, they've done that 3 games in a row. Tonight's State Farm player of the game is that man, Joey Votto, John Smoltz.
Well, he's having a good start to a campaign that you would just think if he's healthy, he's going to throw up some Joey Votto-like numbers that he averaged from 2015 to 17. And this ballpark, why not? Browns crew giving him the support. And that big home run got the 2 RBIs and the eventual lead.
Zach Plesac only gave up 4 hits. 2 of them were big. The solo home run to Castellanos and the 2-run shot that ultimately proved to be the game winner from Votto. And both of them came on 3-2 pitches. But other than that, Smoltz, as a whole, this was a crisp, beautifully pitched ball game.
Rain delay didn't mess up the rhythm of the pitchers because once they got in the game, they were locked in.
Joey Votto, the State Farm player of the game. The Reds showcase winners again. They take game 1 of the Ohio Cup on Wednesday. The showcase is back and will take you to D.C. for an NL East clash at 6 p.m. Eastern. Pete Alonso and the Mets visit Juan Soto and the champion Nationals right here on MLB Network. Coming up next, Heidi Watney has Quick Pitch presented by Blue Emu. For John Smoltz, JP Morosi, and our entire crew, I'm Steven Nelson saying good night and thanks for watching the MLB Network Showcase presented by Chevrolet. We'll see you.
Welcome back to Quick Pitch presented by Blue Emu.
The battle over the Ohio Cup at stake here in Cincinnati.
Here we go.
I get up, I get down, and I'm jumping around. And the rumpus and ruckus are comfortable now. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to grow.
Here we go.
And there he is, Sonny Gray.
Let's just go right at these guys.
I need a Zach attack right now.
He was efficient. He was tremendous.
Let's go out with the bang. Too young to lie here forever. I'm way too old to try. So whatever, come hang. Let's go out with the bang.
Here we go.
It was a great night for pitching across MLB, and our showcase game in Cincinnati was no exception. The Reds and Indians rotations are among the best in baseball, with Cleveland staff ranking 3rd in MLB, and Cincy's not far behind them. Monday night, it was Sonny Gray, who's reinvented himself since the start of last season, giving up just 1 earned run over his first 2 starts combined, versus Zach Plesac, who went 8 scoreless with a career-best 11 strikeouts in his lone start this season. So who would blink first?
Hitting a home run off this man, that's a tough assignment, especially the last couple seasons. Francisco Lindor, the best in all of baseball. 2-2. Lindor hit well to right. Did you? No question. A home run from Lindor. And it's 1-0 try. Now Franmil Reyes. Gray's going to try and put him away with the 0-2, and he does. Zach Plesac, and he is coming off a terrific start against the Chicago White Sox.
You can't draw it up any better than that. 11 strikeouts, no walks.
He gets ahead of a quality hitter, Moustakas. Zach Plesac strikes out the Moose. Strike 2, Winker.
You just put pressure.
Jesse Winker.
Speaking of pressure.
Francisco Lindor. He knew that. Just like he knew the first inning ball was gone, he knew that was strike 3. Carlos Santana. 1-2 from Gray. Swung on and missed. Castellanos. Know how to do baseball. Ooh. Into the kitchen of Castellanos, who ducks out of the way, and now we're full.
So remember that pitch he took off the plate for a slider? All right, now would be the time of the 3-2 pitch to go back to that pitch. He just busted him up and in.
Right down Broadway. Castellanos hit well. Left center field. It's gone. Stay hot, Castellanos. It's a 2-1 ball game. And the DH Franmil Reyes will come up. 3-2. Grounded to short. Galvis with a pick and throw. Gray gets out of the 6th. Akiala gets aboard for Joey Votto. Choked up on the bat. Votto. The 3-2. He gets a bat on it. Plesac hunkers down because Joey Votto just went up and out. A go-ahead 2-run shot, and it's 3-2 Cincinnati. Giving love to the grounds crew. First and second, nobody out in the 8th. Comes up on Barnhart, throw down to second. Gets up. Nobody. Cleveland would rather have up there than Lindor. The 2-2. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, it was another tough night for the Indians offense. In their last 6 games, they've now scored a total of just 6 runs. So it should be no surprise. The Tribe has now lost 5 of those last 6. For more on this game, let's send it out to the guys who called it, Steven Nelson and John Smoltz.
I love pitching. So if I love pitching, you can only imagine how the Hall of Famer John Smoltz feels about it. And we saw some great pitching in Cincinnati.
Yeah, we did. We thought about the game was going to be close, and it was. And Sonny Gray was on top of his game. He really was from the beginning and made a couple of mistakes. But when you talk about missing bats and throwing this variety of pitches, that's what he was able to do all night. He mixed it up, and he was Sonny Gray of the last year and a half. And StatCast, powered by Google Cloud, is going to show us the array of pitches that got it done. You got the sinker, slider, and curveball that were outstanding. He mixes in a 4-seamer, but he really sets up the quadrants well. And for him, he did his part, but he needed some help. And that help came from Mr. Joey Votto. Joey Votto on a 3-2 pitch. You see how he was choked up. Got a fastball and delivered it at 378 feet. And that was the difference. 3-2 game. The bullpen did the rest. But a well-pitched, clean game after they had about an hour or so rain delay, whatever that turned into. It didn't affect the pitchers.
21 total strikeouts for the 2 staffs, 14 for Cincinnati, 7 for Cleveland. We don't want Zach Plesac's performance to get lost in this. He was outstanding outside those couple blemishes, the one big one being the blast of Votto.
He was, and he came back after the 2-run homer and had just as good inning as that's going to help him for the future because he made 2 bad pitches. That's it.
Another fun showcase for us. Another one coming Wednesday.
Thank you, gentlemen. Don't look now, but the Reds are starting to get going. They've now won 3 straight, and they are being led by these guys. Sonny Gray has been nothing short of dominant on the mound this season, while Nick Castellanos and Joey Votto have given them plenty of production at the plates.
Tom, thank you very much. A triumphant return, let's say, for Joey Votto. That at bat against Plesac.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing, Joey?
Jim, good to see you, man. You're a little close.
No, I get that a lot, actually, even before this pandemic.
I can smell you from here.
I got you.
You smell good. You smell like passion fruit.
Oh, goodness gracious. We're already off the rails here. Plesac threw you a nasty 3-1 changeup. Were you expecting fastball on 3-2? Were you sitting on it?
Well, you can't, in that situation, you can't get beat by the hardest pitch. You know, you can't let a fastball go past you, but you have to anticipate nearly everything, you know. He has quite a few pitches in his arsenal, and he's able to attack different parts of the zone. So you're just trying to make sure that you put a ball in play with the intent of avoiding a double play. Also, you have to balance that combination. So, yeah, it's I put a good swing on it and good result, and I'm glad we came away with a win. So it's good things.
After a slow start, you guys are now 500. You feel like you guys are in a good spot right now, and you were able to manage the storm, if you will?
Yeah, better spot than 2-5. I mean, but yesterday was fun. I came back to Cincinnati. I was able to watch the game. I was able to cheer on the team, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be out there. But TikTok withdrawals are real, and when the big man says no, the big man says no. But I was just glad to be a part of a win today, and it's really good to be back to 500, and we'll see where we go from here.
How relieved are you just to stand here? One, you self-report some symptoms, and at that point you don't know what's going to happen, but the fact that you tested negative and you're able to go right back into the lineup.
Hold on. Did you and I sign a HIPAA waiver here? Did you?
Well,
I feel like we're putting a lot of personal information out there.
Well, I don't want to do that.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I tested negative a couple times and saw a doctor. We're all good. But I just want to get back. Most importantly, I wanted to protect my teammates. I wanted to make sure that when I wasn't feeling 100%, the thing, it's really important in this environment to look after your fellow person. So we've got a lot of people behind the scenes here. A lot of people are being challenged. And are accepting the challenge and excited about the challenge, and I for one am excited about it also. We are so happy to be back here playing Reds baseball in Cincinnati. It's cutout. There are cutouts here, but at some point, whether this year, next year, or some year, we can't wait to play in front of the Reds fans. So we miss you. We really, really miss you. And yeah.
Congratulations on the big home run and the victory.
Good seeing you.
Nice seeing
Great
you
seeing
too.
you. All right.
Obviously a big team win tonight, Dave, and you got contributions all over the place. Let's start with Votto. A 3-2 count against Plesac. Obviously a large home run for you guys.
Yes, it really was, in so many ways. Sonny early on, was trying to find it, and sometimes when you have starts like that, when it's not easy, not that it's ever easy, but when you're not, on right from the beginning, and you can just keep your team right there and hold the other team kind of where they are. And I mean, that shows a lot of toughness, and Sonny continues to impress like that. And then, for Joey to come through like that, not only for our team, but, kind of reward Sonny there with a win too. I mean, we've all seen Joey do that so many times, but tonight was a really a big one, and for a lot of reasons, and a lot of good plays happened to put us in position to win. But like you mentioned, the 2 homers and the big one by Joey.
And you mentioned plays, none bigger. I mean, we haven't seen 2 defensive plays from a catcher like that in a while that were really spectacular plays by Barnhart, and both were huge.
I mean, those plays made all the difference in the game. It's unbelievable how much one play, in tonight's case, it was 2 plays by a catcher that really just changed the whole complexion of the game. And when you can do that with your glove, that's pretty special. And for a player like Tucker, who takes so much pride, works so hard. Early in the game, he let one slip by, and he might be the best, we've ever seen at blocking balls. And, he's human, and that happens. But what's most impressive is how he responded to that. And, that's why he's here. That's why he's the player he is. But to then lock in like that and have 2 opportunities to make a difference in the game, it's pretty special for a catcher to be able to do that.
Twofold question. Have you not had Garrett or Strope available, and how impressed were you with Nate Jones in the 8th?
Yeah, a big night for our bullpen also. We've talked how much we believe in him, how much we need him, how they're going to continue to get opportunities, and I guess against a very good lineup, it worked out well. It started with Michael coming out and having a very solid inning, and then Nate pitching out of what turned into a really tough inning, no fault of his own, and that just stepped up and continued to get out against really great hitters, and then Iggy came in and dominated for the save. So all of our relievers have been available for the most part. We've kind of had a reset with the rain and the off days mixed in, so our bullpen's in good shape.
I text Tucker today because about 12 o'clock, I text Tucker today and I said, man, I'm going to need you. I said, I'm going to need you today. I could just tell. I mean, I was flat. And I said, I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you. And he said, don't worry, you got me. And, and I think what he did out there today, that's 2 huge plays. Massive plays. And those are winning plays. Those are winning plays. And he's that was 2 turning points in the game for sure.
You said after the second inning, some guys called you or put you in check or whatever. What do you mean by that?
You can just tell. I was flat. I had no energy. I was pitching timid. I was pitching scared. For whatever reason, for whatever reason, I just wasn't quite in the moment. And that happens, and you're going to have days like that, but you're going to have to overcome those and find a way to get through it. And that's what I did. That's what we did, is we found a way to overcome all the adversity that we've been dealing with to come out and put 9 innings together. Not 2, not 3, not 4, we put 9 innings together, and that was and that was it, man. I just had to look in the mirror and say, show up, let's go. I'm a big self-talker. I had to clean it up. And I knew that in order for us I had to keep us there. Once I gave it up early, I had to keep us there, and then give everyone a chance, and we showed up.
Well, first of all, the read is to try to keep the ball in front as much as you can. And then kind of it all happened so fast. I had no chance with Allen at third. And the runner at first, I don't remember who was running. He broke a little late. And I looked and I could see Freddie motioning for the ball, and took a chance. As long as I'm accurate, I'll take my chances that the guy at third's not going to score. So it's a big play. A guy at third with less than 2 outs obviously is rough. So I was just glad that the guy at first didn't get that good of a jump, and he decided to keep going. So it's a quick read. It happens all really fast, but the initial one obviously is to keep the ball in front. And honestly, 99 times out of 100, I'd be okay with just keeping that ball in front, to be honest with
you. Tucker, Sonny was out here earlier and said he felt flat the first couple innings. How confident were you that he would be able to find it after getting through the second inning?
Oh, very confident. I told him that the Lindor homer was on me. I felt like that I back there tried to get too cute with what we were calling. I think we just went to the well maybe one too many times with the fastball, and I told him that I'd be better, but I trust Sonny, and I trusted him that it would be just a little bit of a blip, and that he would hold it down for us. And we kind of went off script a little bit after the second inning, away from what he normally does, and it worked, and it got him kind of locked back in, and then we went back to our original game plan, and it got him through the 6th inning.
Go ahead, Bobby.
The wild pitch that got past you, was that in your mind at all? And then how nice was it just to be able to make up for it with your 2 throws?
Yeah, man. I'm an emotional guy. Obviously, everybody's seen that. But there's nothing that gets to me more than messing up behind the plate. I'll take. I get upset. I get mad, and I get frustrated at the plate, just like anybody else does. But I take a lot of pride in my catching. I take a lot of pride in having guys know that they can throw balls in the dirt if they need to get swing and misses or to get chases or anything like that, and that they know that I'm going to block them, specifically with guys on third base. And that's about as frustrated as I can get on a baseball field is when I let something like that happen. I haven't seen the pitch. It may have been a tough pitch to block, but for me that doesn't matter. Like I said, I take a lot of pride in being able to make those plays. I'm just glad that we were able to right the ship and come back and win tonight.
What about the three relievers that came in today? We know the bullpen's been an issue so far, but they really did a good job.
Oh, no question. It was really nice to see Michael come in and be Michael. And then obviously Nate and Iggy came down and came out and shut the door. But I think for me, honestly, not to put anything, not to push those guys aside, Nate and Iggy, but specifically it was great to see Michael get back into being Michael, challenging guys, throwing strikes, basically saying, here it is, good luck. I'm happy for him, and hopefully this is a springboard kind of moving forward. And we got to grade back into the bullpen. I trust each and every one of those guys down there, and specifically with Michael again. It's going to be great. It's great to see him. Like I said, come in and be himself and really challenge guys and basically say, here it is, good luck.